Speaking of real homes of Japanese motorsport, there on the front of the starting grid, well, that's one of the Project New cars with Show Speedway, I believe. We've had a few changes, haven't we, Lee?
Yes, it's been an interesting few weeks since the last round at Sugo. There's been all change at Team Mugen. Of course, most of you, I'm sure, are aware of at this stage. Dan Ticktum is no longer going to be driving the number 15 Team Mugen Honda car. He's been replaced by Pato O'Ward, the Mexican Indy Lights champion from 2018, and he has been also running IndyCar with Carlin Motorsport this year for several races. He's competed in 8 races, and he was also in Formula 2 a couple of weekends ago for MP Motorsport. But he is now part of the Red Bull Junior program, was taken aboard Red Bull in May, and so he'll be competing the rest of the season, we believe, in Super Formula. As we get this sign, looks like it's going to be a safety car start.
Yeah, I thought that doesn't surprise me. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But as we look at that very soggy looking grid, Lee, see if we can get through the starting lineup before the national anthem. Off you go.
Okay, starting last is Pato O'Ward in his, as we mentioned, in his number 15 Team Mugen car. He spun on his outlap in qualifying yesterday. It was a very wet qualifying session, but he's allowed to race by virtue of setting the 8th fastest time in FP2 on Friday, so therefore showing his competence in the Super Formula car. Bear in mind, he's not had any testing whatsoever. 19th is going to be Kamui Kobayashi in the Team KCMG Toyota car. 18th is going to be Kenta Yamashita in the Conda Racing Toyota. That's a poor starting position from him, but he scored points from low down last time at Sugo. Artem Markelov spun in Q1, but was able to continue on, but still dropped off in the first qualifying session. 16th is going to be Harrison Newey. He is in the BMAX Racing Motorpark Honda car. He was running very, very well at Sugo a few weeks ago until a fire in his car in the pit lane took him out of contention. Next up in 15th position, Lucas Auer. That's Harrison Newey's teammate. He's going to be starting 15th. It was a difficult session for him yesterday and his worst qualifying of the year so far. 14th in the Team Impul Toyota. Ryo Hirakawa, as we go to the national anthem, we'll continue this in a moment.
Too slow, O'Gorman. Let's hope O'Ward is quicker. The Japanese national anthem there as Leo Gorman prepares to take us onwards through the front portion of the grid.
As we're about to say, it's starting 14th on the grid today, Ryo Hirakawa in a Team Impul Toyota. He'll be looking to pick up some points. He's not scored a point yet so far this season. On row 7 of the grid, Yuji Kunimoto in the Kondo Racing Toyota. This is a 2016 Super Formula champion. Started 13th last time out, finished 8th. He'll be hoping for more points today. And the drivers knocked out in Q2, Nirei Fukuzumi. He was actually fastest in Q1. Couldn't repeat that, unfortunately, in Q2 yesterday. He'll be going from 12th place. Starting 11th, Kudai Tsukakoshi. The 2012, what was then the Formula Nippon Championship. He goes from row 6. And in the top half of the grid, Kazuki Nakajima, the recent Le Mans champion and FIA World Endurance champion for drivers. He gets off from 10th on the grid in his Team Tom's Toyota. Then current championship leader Naoki Yamamoto. He's starting 9th. He was the driver knocked out of Q2. And then starting in Q1, Tadasuke Makino in the Nakajima Racing Toyota. He actually had a technical failure during Q3, stopped on the start, finished straight with 2 minutes left in the session. He goes from 8th place. Then Kazuya Oshima from Team Le Mans Toyota. He's going to be starting 7th. 6th is Hiroki Ishura, the Tsurumu Ing Toyota car. That is his joint best qualifying position of the year. From 5th on the grid is Nick Cassidy in the Team Tom's Toyota. And on row 2, Tomoki Nojiri in the Team Mugen Honda car. There's a good effort from him. He's after qualifying well at Tsugo a few weeks ago. And Yuhi Sekiguchi, he'll be running from 3rd on the grid today. That's actually his best qualifying of the season. And it's going to be an all-rookie front row. The Sho Suboi starting on the on position number 2 for the Suruma Ing Toyota. And pole position, his first pole position in Super Formula, Alex Pelu for the TCS Nakajima Honda team. He's shown a lot of speed so far this year, Sam, but has yet to have the results to actually showcase and solidify that speed.
Well, as Palu takes the field round for the green flag lap behind the safety car there, 55 laps or 95 minutes, whichever comes first. Round here at Fuji Speedway, it could go to 95 minutes with these terrible weather conditions. It's going to be a big ball of spray as they make their way around the oddly named corners here at Fuji Speedway. First corner is the first corner, then Coca-Cola corner, Advan corner, Dunlop's corner, and GR Supra corner, which is renamed Toyota Prius corner, which is quite an interesting one. They've changed the name of that this season.
And bear in mind, the race now has actually started. Because it starts under the safety car conditions, they do forego the normal dummy lap to the grid. So we are actually racing at this stage. The conditions, as you can see, are very, very, very poor. It rained. I think it actually still is raining now. So we're going to see a lot of tyre wear for the cars this year. Apparently the wet tyres degrade very much and blister very much in these conditions. So this should make for a very interesting race. Air temperature, you can see 22 degrees, track temperature 23 degrees. It is due to stop raining to rain during the race, so we may see a drying track later on if that is the situation.
And one of the little bits of intelligence we've heard is that what that could have a slight advantage for the Honda-powered teams. 2 different engines supplying these one-make Dallara cars here in Super Formula. Some from Honda, some from Toyota. Engine development is allowed through the season, but they have a limited number of engines that each driver can use, a bit like Formula 1 in that respect. The Toyota power unit, the Toyota engine, apparently doesn't allow the driver from inside the cockpit to adjust the mapping. So the programming that lets the rear wheels drive different torque settings and stuff like that. Whereas the Honda drivers are rumoured to be able to do that, and that will be a huge advantage in changing conditions.
Now, bear in mind, we are in wet conditions, so as with many forms of motorsport, the mandatory tyre change is actually out the window. And this is going to be quite critical because with these wet conditions, and of course we have a safety car start, the actual fuel consumption is going to be much lower today. So it'll be interesting to see if there are going to be drivers who were initially going for stints to see if they will actually stretch this out and maybe not stop at all. It's a massive risk, though, as we mentioned a few moments ago, tyre wear on these wet tyres, these wet Yokohamas, is supposed to be quite significant. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, it does give us a little bit of time while the cars are behind this safety car on what is, as you say, the end of lap 1 of this 4th round of the Super Formula Championship. Every race, of course, is live and in full here on Let's Go Racing, so don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We've also got some members of the channel who I will thank now. We've got Erwin, Robbie Francevic, Walt Moehle, Stephen Manguino, Issac, Walt Moehle again, Melbeanyo, Corey Jott, DyrmaXXX, Joe Quirk, Darien, Quinn, AJ Rottini, Ddogphace, Morcane, username is in use, Bucktide, Kevin Mitchell, Derek Lundy, GG0454, Melbeanyo again, Klowde, Paul Montecinos, Dave Dzwonczyk, Robbie Francevic, Christian MILESI, GPA 95, Robbie G, Nolin, Dillane, Jonathan Sheeran, MP Rallyvideos, Tom Porter, Gaunt Pisces, 19, Dougal 14, which is definitely Leo Gorman, Thomas Loiseau, and Whales taste great, which they don't actually.
No, I'm afraid not. Not my kind of taste. Now, we could see on the screen there a few moments ago the head-on shot from the start-finish straight, just the amount of spray that has currently been kicked up. It is, for driver visibility, it is going to be severely reduced in these conditions, Sam. I mean, what can you give an impression? What can they see, or more or less, what can't they actually see?
You can see the red dot on the rain light of the car in front, but you can see a few other red dots. What you can see on the screen with those roll hoop lights is it gives you an approximation of what the drivers can see, but the camera's much higher up. So what you really just see is a field of red dots, and each one's a car, but you don't know which one is closest to you, so you just sort of aim at them and hope you're not going to crash.
And bear in mind, the camera obviously kind of brightens the image somewhat as well, so it's going to be a lot duller from inside the cars. Yeah. And we focus an awful lot about the spray coming from the back of the cars. You're also going to be getting spray from your front wheels as well. That would also kind of blur your vision somewhat. So,
and that could be really unpleasant if you turn your wheels at a certain angle, the spray comes in from the front wheel into the cockpit and you get really wet, and it's not very nice. Racing in the wet, something I always hated doing, because I wasn't very good at it. But then, I should have said that about all of my racing. As you can see on the screen, Alex Palou still obviously leading the race, lap 2, behind this safety car. Honda engine, that's the H on the screen, T for Toyota. The little lights on the roll hoop, which I mentioned earlier on, denote the overtaking system that are on these cars. The cars have a slightly higher fuel flow rate for a few moments. It lets them give them a little bit of a power boost and overtake. They have it for a certain amount of time. When you see the light flashing very quickly, they're deploying that boost mode. But then once they've deployed the boost mode, it'll start to that light will start to flash slowly, and they can't boost when it's got that slow flash mode going on. As the race progresses, you'll see those lights changing colour from green to blue to red, then off altogether, and that tells you they've used how far they are on using up that boost mode. Quite strategic the way the teams and drivers are using it. In these conditions, it's going to be quite difficult to do. As the safety car, though, is leading this race. Lexus, not known for its great performances in Super Formula. It's Toyota here, unlike in Super GT, where Lexus is the works brand from the Toyota company. Engines, though, same as the GT500, but just in a slightly different state of tune.
It's interesting, though, watching some of the drivers going around this lap, particularly the kind of infield section of this lap. They're using a lot more of the road. Obviously, they're swaying from side to side to try and get some temperature in these tyres. 23 degrees track temperature is really not significant track temperature to keep tyres warm at all. You can see Palou is gapping the safety car somewhat. He doesn't want to drop too far behind the safety car because that would also be a penalty in itself. But drivers still going from side to side on this circuit to try and get some temperature. But certain parts of the circuit they're going very, very far offline. So I wonder actually how far we are from a race start, because I don't think it's actually raining significantly at the moment. What we're seeing now is very much the remnants of heavy rain earlier on.
Yeah, it doesn't look like. The windscreen wipers are going on that Lexus safety car, but I think it's raceable. It'll be quite a spicy race, but. And there is unlike a lot of sort of European racing series, the Japanese have a slightly more tolerant attitude towards rain because, well, it does do that quite a lot in Japan, a bit like England, really. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this race going to green in the not too distant future because it's going to be quite exciting into the first corner as the drivers arrive at full power for the first time. As I've stopped being deaf in one ear.
And now we have 1,500 people watching this stream at the moment, and I think people in Europe particularly and in the US need to get up out of bed, forget sleep, and switch on Super Formula and let's go racing.
Don't forget to like more likes we get. If we get more likes, we'll start the race. Get onto the race director, which we can do, which is a little bit strange. But
so just a reminder, we have Pato Award is 20th place at the moment, then Kumui Kobayashi 19th, 18th is Kenta Yamashita, 17th Artem Markelov, Harrison Nui and Lucas Auer are 15th, 16th respectively, 14th is Ryo Hirakawa, 13th Yuji Kunimoto as the safety car lights are out, then it's Fukuzumi 12th, Sakagoshi 11th, Nakajima 10th, Yamamoto 9th, Makino 8th, Oshimi 7th, Ishura 6th, Cassidy is in 5th place, Nojiri 4th, Sakaguchi 3rd, Shosubai the second car on screen there, and leading the pack around to start this race as we go into lap 4 is Alex Palou. It's an all-rookie front row. Well, it's not going to be 2x2 as they come round onto the start-finish straight, but Palou is going to lead. He got that 1 point for pole position. And let's see what as you said earlier on, he's been very, very quick. He's just not had the results to finish it off. So let's see what he can do in these wet conditions at Fuji Raceway.
You're watching Let's Go Racing. This is round 4 of the 2019 Super Formula Championship. Alex Palou leads the race into lap 3 as we're about to go to green. That long straight at Fuji Speedway, he's going to take the field round onto that, and then we will be racing properly as he starts that breakaway at the moment, turns into that final right-hand corner and then onto the long straight, and it's going to be a big voyage of discovery down to the first corner. First time in this wet conditions. Let's see, because Shosubai isn't going to let him get away.
And a bit of a wobble there from Palou coming out of the last two corners completely. You see the spray massively kicked up. Palou leads from Shosubai. Sakaguchi is in 3rd place. I can't really see who's in fourth. I think it's Nojiri still in fourth, but absolutely blinded by the spray.
Well, Sho Suboy and Alex Palou both deployed their overtaking system straight away. I think Palou should...
Has he gone wide?
He was definitely going wide, missed the apex into turn one. Quite a few people struggling actually into that first corner. Very circumspect from some drivers. They're probably the right thing to do in these conditions. This has got shades of 1976. The Japanese Grand Prix held here famously, the Hunt Lauda year, but Fuji Speedway's
and off.
And that was...
Is that Oshima? It might have been either Harrison Newey or Oshimi. I'm not entirely certain.
I think that was Oshima, actually, because Newey is further down. No, that must have been Harrison Newey in the number 51 car. I didn't quite see the colour of the end plates.
That's Nick Cassidy. Nick Cassidy going for fourth place, but can't quite get the move done. He loses a bit of traction as he comes through the left-hand corner, and Nojiri maintains fourth place for the moment. Palou has a little bit of a lead, but he's not comfortable as he loses traction coming into the right-hander there. Cassidy tries again for fourth place, nails it this time around, takes Nojiri. Good move there in very, very tricky conditions, but Nojiri looks like try and get back.
Cassidy from a country where it rains a lot, New Zealand. He'd be used to these conditions. Bit like Jan Mardenborough. Whenever it rains, he does quite well because he's from Wales. But Palou doesn't seem too comfortable. He's really pushing as hard as he can, and he has made a few mistakes up front, but it doesn't look like Sho Suboy has managed to capitalise on that. They are really pushing to get the most, but Cassidy is the man to watch in that Vantolin Team Tom's Dallara SF19 Toyota Power, and he's just passed one of the Mugen cars. The other Mugen car, of course, is the Red Bull liveried car of Patricio Ward, one of two Red Bull livery cars in this race. The other one, car 50, Lucas Auer, Gerhard Berger's nephew.
And the former DTM racer, factory DTM racer for Mercedes for several years, as an off! And
that's the number 37.
That's Cassidy, that was Cassidy, yeah. Losing traction coming into turn one. The back end stepped clean out. I don't think he lost, and I think he may have actually got away with that.
I think he has.
Yes, I think he may have actually...
No, I don't see a Mugen car in front of him. The Mugen car is still behind him.
So, yeah, I think he's just saved that. That was a stroke of fortune for Nick Cassidy coming through turn one there, losing the back end, but regaining both the car and his underwear. Really.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think Joshua Simizu and that can don't. Well, thanks very much for subscribing and getting involved in the channel. It helps us bring races from all around the world. We had VLN yesterday. All the VLN races now live here on Let's Go Racing. We're going to be announcing another special event we're announcing it tomorrow. So keep your eyes on the Let's Go Racing social media channels and on the channel itself, because we have a very special event we're about to announce that we're hosting for the first time. Should be pretty fun.
You're not hosting your birthday party.
No, my birthday party isn't for a few months yet. It's actually the Italian Grand Prix, but don't tell anyone.
Yeah, I think you just did.
Well, there's Kamui Kobayashi, another racer known for his ability in the wet, making a great move up the inside, very neat and tidy, but is he going to make it stick? Their bang wheels coming up to the final sector into that long left-hander. Wow, the KCMG driver really getting quite aggressive.
Solid start to the race actually for Kobayashi. He's taken Markelov. I think he's got past Kenta Yamashita, Harrison Newey, and that was Kunimoto. He's just taken there as we have an off.
That's Yamashita.
That's Yamashita struggling in these conditions.
No, that wasn't Yamashita. That was Kunimoto, sorry.
Kunimoto, yeah, sorry. Struggling in these conditions, down in 15th, 16th place at the moment.
Well, our screen hasn't updated because Kunimoto is clearly behind Kamui Kobayashi, but the timing screen says he's not. Now it's updated. There you are. 30 seconds lost to Alex Palou from these guys.
Kobayashi's made a bit of a good start, taking 3 or 4 positions. All you can see in that situation is just spray.
Yeah.
As Nakajima making his way around. He's 10th place at the moment. Kazuki Nakajima, the recent Le Mans 24-hour winner, alongside Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Buemi.
Well, great to have so many people from around the world tuned in here for Super Formula. Some of you for the first time. I think we've got quite a lot of the Spanish-speaking contingency in to support that Irish driver, Pato Ward. And welcome. Hope you stay for the season here on Let's Go Racing. And also in a small town in Georgia, a lady called Christina is celebrating her birthday. Hopefully she's not too annoyed that her husband is up watching us here on Let's Go Racing, watching a very soggy Fuji Speedway, but the racing action is getting quite lively already. Now, there were reports of, even in these wet conditions, the full-on rain tyres from Yokohama suffering from blistering after about 10 laps. It'll be interesting to see if anyone can make the tyres last the distance. Well, that man is the first one to watch, Alex Palou, and he's beginning to gap the field quite a bit there.
Yeah, Palou's got a 3.9 second gap to Shosubo at the moment, with Sakaguchi 7.6 seconds behind, Nick Cassidy fourth, 10 seconds behind the race leader. He's really gotten very comfortable in the last few laps, pulled out an additional 2.5 seconds to Shosubo. And I think this is a case of Palou getting, as he goes off and wide, and does not need to do that. He does not need to do that.
You say that, Lee, but he's been making these little tiny mistakes almost every corner. But look at the gap he's building out. He's just taking the car literally to the limit and just running off, and that was he's pushing as fast as he can as the conditions change. It's not costing him time.
I do wonder, though, at some point if maybe one of the early laps Shosubo actually made a little mistake as well, because he did lose 2 seconds in one lap. But Palou is pushing, as you mentioned, pushing very, very, very hard, but he does need to be careful that he doesn't throw it so far off the circuit that he loses traction over a curb and spins off. But right now, he's driving impeccably, leading this race with absolute calm and measure.
Speaking of calm and measure, for his first time in Japan and his first time on track here in Super Formula, I'm going to cancel that thought briefly, as Kamui Kobayashi is somewhere in that spray, making an overtaking manoeuvre around up the inside of Lucas Auer and making it look alarmingly easy there. Kobayashi seems to be finding grip where nobody else can, but let's keep an eye on him. 15th position at the moment, now up to 14th. Hirakawa next. And he'll moving forward through the field.
It's 5 positions he's taken so far in this race, so Kobayashi very much on a charge. And we've seen Kobayashi in other categories racing so well in wet conditions, in not just a World Endurance Championship, but obviously previously in Formula 1 as well.
Well, we were talking about Pato. Well, he's made up 1 position off the back of the field. He's got in front of Kenta Yamashita's Kondo Racing Run car, that Toyota engine car, now at the back of the field, and the Honda engine car of O'Ward 1 place ahead. His first time in Japan, first time, he's been in Japan a few days, first time at Fuji Speedway, first time in the car. Being pretty sensible about it, not pushing like crazy. And what conditions to start your first run in a new series, as Kobayashi is really working his way through the field, isn't he?
Bear in mind, this is a guy who's done no testing. He was, I suppose, in a sense, fortunate enough that he's coming from the IndyCar series, which doesn't have the ridiculous tyre wear of the Pirellis in F1. So he's able to go out and push. Got a good few laps in practice on Friday, set nearly 50 laps in practice. One of those sessions was actually quite wet as well. But he's bedding himself in very nice. He's 19th place. He's ahead of Kenta Yamashita at the moment, 40 seconds behind the leader. But that has an awful lot more to do with the conditions we're seeing on circuit than anything else. It's to be thrown in at this level in these conditions, he's doing a very, very, very good job.
You notice Kobayashi is using different parts of the track to the rest of the field to try and get. Well, I'm not sure I don't know if there's any extra traction there, but actually Patricia Ward there. As we see him, you can tell his car, apart from the other Red Bull liveried car of Lucas Auer, Patricia Ward's car has eyes painted on the front.
I mean, look, Ward's doing very well to keep up with the likes of Markelov and Kunimoto ahead of him. So, as I said, he's just doing a very representative job, keeping the car on circuit, learning, and that's really what he needs to do. And he's actually going to have a go at Harrison Newey. That is Lucas Auer in the other Red Bull liveried car, and they're teammates. Remember, so they're in the.
So Harrison Newey and Lucas Auer are teammates. So the two Red Bull cars are not teammates. They're nearly touching wheels down the straight in the wet. Honestly, just believe me, you can't see them, but they are.
And Harrison Newey just pulling out a gap, but Auer is on the inside. But will he complete the move as Harrison Newey goes wide? Yes, Auer goes through. Taking 15th position, but Newey comes back, gets traction out of the first corner, and we think, well, we don't really know what's happening because they're in the spray, but Newey has taken Auer, and a very, very good driving from both drivers here to go through that, not have any incidents or moments whatsoever, and the positions kind of level out as they come through into the infield.
That was beautiful, clean motor racing right there. Particularly as the drivers at some point there wouldn't have been able to see each other.
Well, they can't see each other really now, probably, still.
It's spaced out a little bit. One thing I've noticed as the cars go around, slightly less spray perhaps off the rear wheels, but I mean, we're talking only very slightly, but I do think the rain may be easing off slightly. No chance of a dry line for quite a long time yet.
Well, the forecast I heard earlier on is that it was raining at the start of the race and just before the race, but then the next shower would not be till 3 o'clock, which is about an hour or half hour after the race finishes. So we may see a drying line here, but it's not going to be dry by any stretch of the imagination before the end of this race.
So this is round 4 of the 2019 Super Formula Championship. You can watch the first 3 races in full, uninterrupted here on Let's Go Racing, as Kobayashi again using different lines coming out of the corners. First race was at Suzuka, then Autopolis, Sportsline Sugo a couple of weeks back, Fuji Speedway today, of course, then 3 more races after this, Twin Ring Motegi, Okayama, and the season rounds out again at Suzuka as Kamui Kobayashi has a think about making that move on to Ryo Hirakawa into the first corner, but decides against it. Now, Okayama could be quite an interesting one to do the commentary for.
You're not going to be here, are you?
No, I'm going to be
in Okayama.
So we haven't quite worked out the technology for that bit yet, but we will.
I'm sure we'll come up with some sort of hand signals to actually make it work.
Meanwhile, I don't think you'll be able to see him from here.
Yeah, well, I'll get bigger glasses. Meanwhile, we're still watching Hirakawa on screen being attacked very much by Kamui Kobayashi. And you mentioned just taking slightly different lines there. And I think that is actually Hirakawa and Kobayashi coming across the line.
Is that Kobayashi on the left? I don't think it is.
Yeah.
That looks like a Mugen car. Oh, sorry, a Project Mu car. I don't know what that replay was actually of.
But taking very different lines as they go around the circuit. And as he mentioned, I just wondered maybe if Kamui Kobayashi is actually maybe beginning to test out the damper portions of the circuit at this time as the track very slowly begins to dry out.
I would say, I mean, if it does start to dry out and they are worried about tyre wear and tyre temperature, he'd go puddle hunting, where you'd sort of drive the car offline to put it in the puddles to keep the tyre temperatures under control. But he's not. He's just racing here as he
dives down the inside. Just saw the gap open up completely. Hirakawa's going to get back in, and as he has traction on the inside line, but the door was left wide open. Kobayashi said thank you very much, went down the inside, only to kind of lose position as they
in the pits.
Hirakawa in the pits.
Well, that was strange. So that must be he's feeling the end of those tyres.
Drive-through penalty.
No idea why he's got that then. That may be. That's what that replay was. Hirakawa. Yeah, that's what it is. Hirakawa passed Kobayashi before he was basically too far forward on the start of the race. And that's why it was the start line. So he didn't follow the green flag, the rolling start procedure.
I don't think they were separated by 5 positions. So it must be something else.
Yeah, that might not. It probably wasn't. I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure that's why. Yes, that's right, because that's why it wasn't.
Well, actually, if you mentioned it was a Team Mugen car.
That's right, yeah.
Because the next car behind him was Lucas Auer.
Yes.
Yeah, so that. Okay. Anyway, there we go.
So, Kamui Kobayashi makes another position after losing the position. Anyway, he's up to 13th, rather. And now we've cut back to... Now that is one of the... That is, I think...
Fukuzumi.
And Naoki Yamamoto. Yeah, that's Naoki Yamamoto. He's the
first car there is Yamamoto there. Then there's Nakajima and then Fukuzumi. This is the battle now for 9th, 10th and 11th position. Yamamoto has not made any ground since the start of this race. Started 9th, still there. He is the championship leader, and he does have the advantage, Sam, of no matter what happens in this race, he will still be the championship leader at the end of this race. He's had 2 seconds and the race win so far this season and a pole position. So quite a lot of success coming into this round, so he will still lead no matter what, but he still doesn't want a race where he scores no points, particularly when second in the championship Nick Cassidy is currently riding top 4.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's the reigning Super Formula and Super GT champion. His rival, Nick Cassidy, is up in 4th. That is not a good position for Yamamoto.
And bear in mind, the other thing for Yamamoto as well, 9th position, he's already effectively a pit stop behind the race leaders at this stage. As we see the likes of Pelu and Sho Suboi really pulling out a gap. Yehi Sekiguchi, by the way, is falling quite a long way behind in 3rd place, 8 seconds behind Sho Suboi in 2nd place. So, but as we're looking at Fukuzumi at the moment, the ex-GP3 and Formula 2 racing driver, now in Super Formula this year. I'm not sure, is he Honda back driver? I can't remember.
Just who?
Fukuzumi.
Yes.
Yes. Which is I think is one of the reasons why he was in Europe in the first place.
Exactly. It's part of a Honda Formula Dream program. They pick up young drivers, trying to find a new Japanese Formula 1 star. Not succeeded yet. The only Japanese driver with enough... Well, the only Honda-backed Japanese driver with enough super license points to race in Formula 1 is this man, Naoki Yamamoto, who could, if he did his 300 kilometres of F1 driving, could actually race in Formula 1.
And, well, actually, I don't think even he needs to do that. I think it's a case of, to see Fukuzumi really sliding the car coming out of the final corner to focus on Nakajima there. I think it's a case of Yamamoto just needs to actually apply for a license. So I don't think he actually needs to do the 300k.
You do have to do the 300 kilometres, yes.
I mean, there's a few drivers here who are looking for super license points. Well, one of them's no longer in the series as of Sugo. Pato O'Ward is one of those drivers in the Red Bull program. He's currently 17th place, by the way. He's also got past Artem Markelov. And that is why he's passed Artem Markelov, because Artem Markelov is no longer has a front wing.
Now, how's he managed that? Because there doesn't appear to be any damage on the tip of the nose, and the car doesn't look anyway otherwise deranged. Has the wing just dropped off? No, you can. No, it has hit something.
I think he must have gone off circuit somewhere. Well, hopefully we'll get a replay in a second, but that looks like it's been dislodged by going off circuit and maybe have a bit of off-roading.
Well, quick nose change, tyre change, bit of gas, and he'll be back underway.
I don't think the curbs here are so severe that they would do that kind of damage.
Well, now we've just had a weather update, and it does look like the rain is going to continue right through the race now as the nose on this car is changed.
And it's just another disappointing situation for Artem Markelov, who, it hasn't really come together yet so far this season. And I mentioned in the preview video last night that sometimes this happens as a slow stop.
It's interesting there, Lee, because look, they had the option to change tyres and refuel and didn't.
Yes.
So it looks like a lot of cars are going to try and do race distance on a single set of tyres and not refuel. Refueling, of course, is allowed in Super Formula, and many teams will take advantage of it.
Markelov is a guy who he's very quick driver. He's not a numpty by any stretch of the imagination, but he still has not scored any points so far this season. His best finish of 10th in the season opener at Suzuka. And best qualifying position of 13th at Autopolis. He's now lapped, and he has 5 seasons of experience at GP2 and Formula 2 level. Scored 9 wins in about 113 races. So he's not a poor driver by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not clicked for him.
Quarter distance of the race so far, and he's a lap down though. And it's clearly not going to click today, is it? Alex Palou though, it is clicking for him. The gap's opened up to 7.5 seconds. He's doing quite well, isn't he?
He's actually just put in a lap that's 1.3 seconds quicker than Sho Suboi in second place. So Palou is really knocking these laps out. I mean, the lap times, they're not remarkably quicker than they were at the start of the race. Palou in the 1:42s, but he's the only driver who's even remotely close to that pace. Everyone else, the closest, is all in the 1:43s, and the closest driver in pace is actually third place, Sekiguchi, who's doing a 1:43.0. But as you can see on screen there, Palou a 1:42.1 last time around, a 1.3 seconds quicker than Sho Suboi. He is really settling into this race.
He's really settled into this series, actually. He's proven to be a very impressive young man. Now, there's Lucas Auer, I believe, off track down at the first corner. Yes, it was, taking a slightly alternative route.
And it's dropped him to 19th place at the moment and the last of the runners on the lead lap.
So I think he's had a So a few excursions, I think, there.
I think he's had a boo-boo.
He might have gone off to look for Markelov's front wing, because we actually have no idea what happened to that.
Well, you get what you can, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, that is, one of the... well, he's ahead of Markelov anyway.
Well, I mean, Markelov did spend quite a long time in the pits, but I do wonder, is
this the end of his tyres, I wonder? Or is he just struggling with the conditions?
We did hear prior to the race that tyre wear in wet conditions was potentially quite significant. That shows Suboi there in second place. So Auer has been lapped. So he's gone off, and it's actually enough to put him a lap behind Alex Palou. So that second place shows Suboi there. But yes, is the tyre life as tyre wear as significant as we were led to believe pre-race? And if so, why did Markelov not change tyres?
Well, that's what I was about to say. Why did Markelov not change tyres? So that was going to be the interesting one to watch his lap time. So I'll show Suboi with that very cool Itasha rear wing on that car. Painfully embarrassing is the translation of that. He's got a painfully embarrassing rear wing with the anime-style figures on it.
I may still be waiting for it to update, but Auer is in the 1:48 last time around, and his actual fastest pace is over 3.5 seconds slower than the race leader Alex Palou. Auer's going around in the 1:48, so really, really, really struggling in the Team Mugen car. And I wonder, he was running as high as 14th place a few laps ago, so I wonder if his tyres have just hit a cliff and he just cannot get any pace anymore.
But is he holding up Sho Suboi there? Because Suboi is still behind Lucas Auer, who's a lap down, and this man could be, Yuhi Sakaguchi, could be closing that gap up significantly.
Sho Suboi just dropped another 2.3 seconds on that last lap, and I think a lot of that was probably behind.
That is the number 4 car.
That is
going around
Yamashita.
The outside.
That's Yamashita against Sukakoshi.
They've still not managed to find any sponsors for that silver car of Sukakoshi.
That was, of course, the car that was originally inhabited by Tristan Carpentier at the start of this year. It was a very, very short-lived relationship, to say the least.
Do you want to hear a rumour?
Okay.
So there are 2 types of engine supplier. As that's Patricio Ward getting working his way up through the field. So Sukakoshi is well in that silver car. You can see he's going to have a go at him in a minute. 2 engine manufacturers in this series, using engines derived from the ones used in Super GT GT500 category, 2-litre turbocharged, direct injection, running a fuel flow limit, and kicking out somewhere of the order of the high 690 to 700 brake horsepower. Well, another series just adopted exactly the same engine formula, DTM.
Oh, yes.
Could we see a BMW-powered Super Formula car in the not-too-distant future? Them's the rumours I've heard. Don't know if anything more to it than that.
Because they'd be very, very welcome if they did come into the series and really increase the competition as we continue to look at Sho Suboi, who's losing so much time behind Lucas Auer at the moment. Auer's back into the... he's actually still very much in the 1:48 at the moment, and this is costing Sho Suboi quite a bit.
Well, here we go, diving up the inside. Well, trying to dive up the inside. It's the Project Mu car trying to get a run on the Team Mugen liveried Mugen Run car. And it's going to be interesting to see how these 2 compare. But
it's Ishura battling Najiri for 5th and 6th place.
They're going to be really... One of the things about racing an open cockpit car in the wet is that you get really wet, and sometimes it's a bit chilly, like it sometimes is in England. It's not very pleasant.
And I just wonder, maybe if Alex Palou's probably had a little bit of a boo-boo in the last lap, because he's just put in a 1:45.2, which is over 3 seconds slower than his regular pace. And I wonder if he's either just had maybe a little bit of an off, because I don't think he's close enough to anyone to be lapping anyone at this stage.
Well, he has lapped Markelov and Auer.
But he's a long way ahead of them, but also a long way behind Hirakawa, I believe. So I wonder if he's had maybe a minor off and rejoined and just lost 3.5 seconds in the process, because the gap to Sho Suboi is now down to 9.8 seconds.
Just 9 seconds there. He's put on a great performance, actually.
And rescued pretty much by the fact that Sho Suboi's pace at the moment isn't that great. Sho Suboi is in the 1:44s.
Interestingly, Nick Cassidy doesn't seem to be able to live with Yuki Sakaguchi at the moment. Now, is Cassidy trying to save tyres or fuel or something similar? because he's just out on ground. Very gently goes
spin.
Naoki Yamamoto. I thought he was going to do that. Didn't lose the engine, but that's
He's lost
cost him.
he's lost a couple of positions.
Yeah, his teammates now ahead of him, as is Nakajima. Kazuki, not Kenta.
And that's dropped Yamamoto down to 12th place.
He pushed himself to live in the moment a bit too far.
And we mentioned earlier on, that he will still lead the championship.
Oh, that's just.
He's just gone wide.
He got
wheel
on
on
the
the
white
corner.
lines.
Yeah, wheel on the white line. And you can see 3 cars will pass him by as we're at 1/3 distance. So Yamamoto down to 12th place.
I think Aid's playing percentages over in the corner there. That's 1/3 distance, but of course this race could go to time. I don't think it will actually. I think we will go to distance.
And Kobayashi was also one of the other drivers to pass him, I believe. So Kobayashi now up to 11th place. Is a very good drive from the former Formula 1 driver and the current Toyota World Endurance Championship driver. Started 19th, currently 11th. Points down to 8th place. These are the points positions for Super Formula, are kind of very much the old style Formula 1 points, where it's the top 8 score at 10-8-6. As we have an off, it's Markelov off again.
He's still looking for his front wing. Now, this is. I was just about to mention these people going on. As Mercadella Elzora says, thanks for streaming, or thanks for watching. It's interesting because Patricio Ward is now up to 15th position, gaining 5 places from his starting position. We haven't seen very much of him, but it's not. Here we go. This is what happens to Markelov.
And just loses
too much speed. I like his natty halo colours.
So yes, you mentioned Pato O'Ward. He said his fastest lap of the race last time round, 1:45.0. It's respectable enough in these conditions for his first time out in a Super Formula car, as we see Kobayashi overtaken by Oh no, that is actually Fukuzumi.
No, that's Kobayashi overtaking Fukuzumi.
But Kobayashi actually lost traction coming out of the corner and lost the position again. Now, will he try to retake the position? This would be to bring Kobayashi into the top 10.
He's putting in a sterling race here, but he's a long way down on in terms of time.
Oh, right under
seconds.
the rear wing of...
and onto the grass.
That was something of a risky move, I think, from Kobayashi. Very nearly went into the back of Fukuzumi in 5th place, and incredibly already 48 seconds behind the race leaders, these guys.
But look, here we go. So look at the gap between Fukuzumi and Kobayashi. It's gone from 3.5 seconds down to, nothing, as you can see. And that is what Kobayashi has been putting in. He's been the man on the move through the field. And a lot of others are getting a little bit stalled out where they are. They're getting into their they're getting into ruts, I think. They're just driving around the track and doing their best, but they're not finding gains on the other cars. But Kobayashi clearly is.
It did take Nakajima quite a while to get past Fukuzumi, and he lost quite a lot of time. Fukuzumi, his pace, that's why I almost see Kobayashi throw it off the track.
I think it's raining though.
Yeah. Fukuzumi's pace, it's not bad, but he's not...
It's trouble for one of the Red Bull cars there. I can't see which one that is. And is that just... No, is that O'Ward? No, that's Lucas Auer letting them pass. That's why that wasn't trouble. It was just being lapped.
Yes, that of course is Auer now lapped by the top 6 cars. And you've got to be very aware actually to B-lap and to lap in these conditions. If you remember back to the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, the infamous collision between David Coulthard and Michael Schumacher in that race.
Well, Helmut Marko, just talking about Lucas Auer, Helmut Marko was rather uncomplimentary about him not managing to finish second at Sugo last time out, which I thought he did pretty well anyway. But
he did better than his other driver.
Exactly, who obviously got sacked after that race. Now to see the new young kid, Patricio Ward, coming in. First race from nothing up to 15th. Lucas Auer down last. That's got to be some pressure on the Austrian, actually.
Absolutely, and Auer's done relatively well in these first few races in the Red Bull program. When I said it was actually, I must admit, it was a choice at the start of the year that kind of caught me by surprise. Auer he's not a young driver in the traditional sense of Red Bull young drivers. He is 24 years old and has had 5 seasons with the manufacturer team in DTM. So he does bring a lot of experience to him, and he's had a few seasons in Formula 3 as well. So he brings some experience with him, and if nothing else, okay, we're not looking at it. We're probably not looking at a driver who will end up in Formula One in several years' time. But he also does represent a fairly good barometer for young drivers who are coming into Super Formula. And something you mentioned at Tsugo a few weeks back is, unlike other, say, categories, say like Formula 2, of like a similar power category as we. That's Palo lapping, isn't it? No, that's
teammate. That's
Kobayashi going around Nakajima, is it?
No, that's the TCS Nakajima car. It's Nakajima racing the TCS Nakajima car.
Yes, Makino, yes. Something you mentioned at Tsugo a few weeks back was that this is one of the few championships at this level where you have experienced drivers alongside young or rookie drivers. And it's something you don't really see nowadays, because championships generally tend to kind of export drivers after a couple of years.
Right, it's all of the Nakajimas. There's Satoru Nakajima on screen. His son, who drives a Toyota-powered car, the Ventolin team Tom's, based here at just around the corner from Fuji Speedway, in that green and white car. And as going off the track,
that's Fukuzumi.
Yeah. Well, there you go. He's struggling in there. People are struggling with that first corner, and it's definitely getting gloomier down here in that first sector, isn't it?
And Kobayashi wasn't quite there to actually capitalise on that.
That wasn't Kobayashi. That was Makino, the other Honda.
No, Makino's ahead of them.
Kobayashi's disappeared off into the It's just that Kobayashi is in 11th. Fukuzumi is behind, and there is Kobayashi behind, but the ones to watch now is Nakajima passing his dad's car. Must be an interesting conversation, that sometimes.
Bear in mind, the Nakajima name is 7 titles, 7 Super Formula type titles between them. Of course, Nakajima, a Super Formula champion, and previously also Formula Nippon champion. And his father was a 5-time champion back in the Japanese Formula 2 or Japanese Formula 3000 days in the 80s.
You got me there. I'm not sure one of them, but obviously Nakajima is inextricably linked to Honda, apart from Kazuki, who is obviously a Toyota driver. Now, speaking of Toyota drivers, Kobayashi is just behind this pairing. He's got one more car to get past for Kazumi. And you should see him at the top of your screen in a minute. And he's done it.
And he's through, but he's gone wide again. And we'll lose that position to Fukuzumi once more as they come down to start-finish straight.
Now, all we can see are the flashing roll hoop lights. You can see the power boost, that fast flash on Nakajima's car. And it gives him a little bit of a higher fuel flow rate. And when those lights are flashing like that, it means he's deployed the overtaking mode and has more power. It's not helping him, though, because he hasn't got it done. Kobayashi now trying to go up the inside into turn 1. We're watching this battle, and they nearly touch Nakajima on Makino. He's going up the inside. The next corner is a left-hander, so he won't get it quite done there, but he's going to try and switch back. But did Kobayashi get that move done coming out of the corner? And now he's going to try around the outside of that right-hander. Brave move, Nakajima.
He's done it. He
has. He's gone all the way around the outside. Great move. And off the track goes Makino. Here comes Kobayashi then.
That's Fukuzumi and Kobayashi going inside. I think he's cut across the front of Kobayashi. Kobayashi goes through now, but goes wide. Makino will retake and maintain that position. But he's also lost traction as well, so Kobayashi's going to go back round. That is 3 positions lost for Makino in the space of a few corners. But what an overtake from Kazuki Nakajima. In these conditions, around the outside, okay, Makino made a mistake the corner previously, but still, you have to make the pass work, and he did just that.
Well, here comes Kamui. He used the overtaking system, and he's used up that extra power boost now because you can see the lights flashing slowly. He won't be able to deploy the extra power for a little while yet. For 23 laps completed, you'll see those lights starting to change colour as he depletes that extra boost allowance. But Kobayashi, that was fantastic racecraft. Saw the situation playing out, took a wide line, took advantage. Fantastic driving.
Who needs DRS and jelly tyres that fall apart after 4 laps?
All you need is Fuji Speedway on a summer's day when it's pouring with rain. One of my favourite circuits in the world, actually, Fuji Speedway. I just really like going there.
And James Guthrie asking Sam, what's the worst wet weather race condition you've ever seen?
I've been at Silverstone in the snow.
I've been at Monza in the snow.
No, I've not done Monza in the snow. The worst time I've actually had to be outdoors, though, was here at Fuji Speedway. It was the WEC race, the 6 laps of Fuji.
Oh, I heard it from a few years ago, yes.
And I was doing pit lane commentary, and
it started for a lap stop for several hours, and then went for a lap again. And as we see,
straight off the track goes one of the TCS Nakajima cars. Now, was that Palou? going off. I think it might have been.
Yes, I think it was, because Pelu's dropped another 3 seconds on that lap.
Yeah, it certainly was. There you go. That was Pelu getting a bit. But he's done this all the way through the race, and it's still working out for him.
That's the second off he's had in this race. But it hasn't harmed him too much, because his gap to Shoksuboi in second place is still 11 seconds. And Shoksuboi this time around actually sets his fastest lap of the race.
I'd love to see an onboard from one of these drivers, just to give an idea of how little we can see, that they can see from inside the cockpit.
We only got a faint idea of what that was like. We saw an onboard from the warm-up earlier on today with Shoksuboi, but that was, although that was wet, it was still drier conditions than this.
And he was out on his own, you see. He didn't have other cars.
Didn't have the spray coming at you from the wheels of the car in front.
Now here we go. Kobayashi's going to try it again at this corner, try and get the run up the inside, get alongside. Oh, nearly contact, yeah. He had to get out of that, and that nearly cost Kobayashi bad, but he's got his overtaking system available. Will he press the button? No, he doesn't. Surprising.
So this is quite key now for Kobayashi. He is 10th place, started 19th. Points go down to 8th position. But now that Kazuki Nakajima has passed Fukuzumi, Nakajima has pulled a 2.5 second gap ahead of the front of these. So Kobayashi needs to actually get past Fukuzumi if he is to have an opportunity to attack and maybe go for points in this race. Kobayashi, remember, actually neither Kobayashi nor Nakajima have actually scored a point in Super Formula so far this season. So they're going to be battling hard over this 8th place. But Kobayashi needs to get past Fukuzumi soon.
Lap 24. Kobayashi has passed 9 cars in those 24 laps. If he continues at the same rate, he'll win the race.
Unfortunately, he's some 55 seconds behind the race leader as it stands. So slightly as we see a move on the start-finish straight. That is Sukakoshi being passed by one of the Team Impul cars.
Or perhaps not passed. It was Ryo Hirakawa. He's in the 20 car, just getting in front of Sukakoshi.
Yeah, that
and
is
it didn't look to be the
16th and 17th positions.
That wasn't the most convincing move.
Yeah, that was for 16th place for Hirakawa.
On the move further downfield, 6th position, we're going to probably see him on screen in a little while. It's one of the Project Mu Tsurumo Inging run cars of Hirakawa Ishura. Is just closing up slowly on the back of Tomoki Nojiri in the Team Mugen liveried Team Mugen car.
今年このスーパーフォーミュラ乗ってて、
Here is an interview.
すごいいいお手本が相方にいるので、
With lovely music in the background.
教えてもらいながら、
That's one of the Docomo Team Dandelion drivers. It's Nirei Fukuzumi.
今後のレースも全部
former GP3 and Formula 2 driver, of course.
出し切れるようなレースをできるように頑張っていきたいと思います。
Quite operatic music. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Join the channel to help our support and bring you lots more racing from around the world.
Interesting to note there, Sam. It does still look as if the rain is coming down. Yet on the start-finish straight, I'm seeing more and more drivers actually move over offline towards the pit wall. And I wonder maybe, because the cars have been out on these tyres for 25 laps, okay, the first 3 of those were under the safety car. So are some of the tyres now getting to the point where they're beginning to blister and beginning to wear? And could we see pit stops soon? Or will some of these drivers try and chance it to the end of this race?
Right, I think some drivers are definitely going to go and try and chance it, but obviously that tyre wear is a factor. You always forget that, tyre wear is a thing when it rains, but wet tyres wear out too, and as the wet tyre wears, it can displace less and less water, so the grooves in the tyre... It's amazing how few people know that the grooves in the tyre are to displace water, not to give grip. I do sort of lectures for school kids occasionally, and it's always fun to try and ask them why racing cars use slick tyres and wet tyres. The road car has the grooves. Obviously, it's to displace all of this water. The amount of litres of water that these Yokohama wet tyres will be lifting off the track and chucking into the air is absolutely incredible, though.
And we'll thank Derek Lundy for his fun facts. That Sam and I translated that interview word for word because he was really talking about the background opera music. Well, I may have got 1 or 2 syllables wrong, but I think I was thereabouts.
I think I think the Super Formula producers have very much bought into the Let's Go Racing approach to things.
Just to note now, as we watch Fukuzumi, 9th place Fukuzumi on track at the moment, he's just less than a second ahead of Kobayashi and 2 behind 8th place Kazuki Nakajima. Almost a minute behind the race leader, Sam. Pelu, by the way, has a pit stop advantage. Pretty much, if he were to pit now, he would come out easily in 4th place.
You know when a car, you suddenly cut to the shot of a car and you don't expect it? Well, there's Alex Palou, you just mentioned. He's lost another second
and I wonder if he's had another boo-boo.
Well, he's falling back in towards the clutches.
He's had yet another 1 minute 45, Sam. So
yeah.
I wonder either...
Is he tyre saving or is he falling into the clutches of Shosuboi, and this race could get a little bit dramatic? But you're right, look how they are all pulling off to the pit wall. I think they are puddle hunting, mate.
But the thing is, one thing that actually, because I've just looked at his sector times from the last lap, he doesn't have any sudden drops that you would see if he were to have a spin. He's actually just dropping off time in each and every single sector. So I think, I don't know whether maybe I think it has actually stopped raining and what we're seeing is actually just gloom. Because it is still quite cold. Quite cool at Fuji Speedway today.
Well, there you can see his lap times and the degradation. That looks like tyre drop.
Yeah, I think he's just dropping. I think he's just dropping time.
Yeah, he's just losing time in this car. I think he's running out of tyres, and this will be very, very interesting.
And interestingly enough, Shosuboi, 2nd place. We were mentioning earlier on how he was dropping so much time to the race leader Alex Palou by sitting in the 1 minute 43s and 1 minute 44s. Well, Shosuboi still able to do those 1 minute 43s, 1 minute 44s. So that gap that was once 13 seconds has now dropped down to 7.5 because Shosuboi is pulling a second to 1.4 seconds a lap back from the race leader Alex Palou as we come almost pretty much to the halfway point in this race. See an interview with
Satoru
Nakajima, the former Lotus Formula 1 driver back in the late 80s, and 5-time, as we mentioned earlier on, 5-time champion at this level back in the 80s. I think he at one stage he won this title 4 years in a row, back when it was Japanese F2 or Japanese F3000.
Well, it's an interesting one because the TCS Nakajima Racing have been taking this championship very seriously this, and not to say that other years, but I mean they've really got talent, 2 really talented drivers, but this one here, honestly, there is a car in that gloom somewhere.
And Palou must have gotten the message because he's actually started to up his time again. He's back in the 1 minute 43s as we see Pato O'Ward going down the inside of... It's like one of the Kondo racing cars. It's the number 4 of Yuji Kunimoto.
I know it's his first time out.
This is 14th place, by the way, so he's up to 14th place.
And he's driving a sensible grown-up race.
Do you know, he's had such a topsy-turvy year.
Oh, I thought that was somebody overtaking, but I couldn't quite tell. It's a bit of a battle there going on between that Project Mu Team Ingen car.
That's the battle for 5th and 6th place, Sam.
There's Nojiri and Ishiura, and I did say that one was going to heat up.
And
Nakajima, keep an eye on him though. He is working his way towards the back of Oshima again. Fukuzumi's hanging out in front of Kobayashi, whose charge seems to be a bit blunted. And I think we are going to see pit stops and tyre changes.
But I wonder if that is also his tyres coming to maybe a bit of a stop as he's fought his way through the race. Now we're watching the Ashura Nojiri battle for 5th and 6th place on screen at the moment. I just want to mention, I kind of brought up there a few seconds ago with Pato O'Ward. He had a bit of a topsy-turvy year. This is a guy who at the end of 2018 was the Indy Lights champion. And I know that probably didn't really count for a huge amount. There was only 7 to 8 drivers in that championship all through last year. As we see the gap between Nojiri and Oshira really came down. And that's where I wonder if Nojiri's actually made an error, because he lost 2 seconds on lap 27.
He lost 2 seconds in a single lap, but we are seeing a few drivers throughout the field losing a bit of pace with the cars, and I think the tyres are beginning to get a little bit worn down. It's very strange, because again, I mean, with wet races, you don't normally think about tyre wear, but it is a factor.
Just as I mentioned, Pato O'Ward actually has just set his fastest lap of the race on lap 29. So
he might be, because he's just been driving fairly solidly throughout. He might be one of the drivers who's going to try and go the distance, and that could see him move right up the field because he doesn't have to make that pit stop. Depends how much fuel he's got on board, to be honest.
He's also, and I'm assuming most of these drivers are actually probably filled as close to the brim as humanly possible. in case they did go full stint, as we see Sheeran.
But that does make the tyre wear harder if you've got the heavy car, you see. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. So I like refueling in motor racing. I think it's a very good idea to have refueling, but you can have refueling and fuel flow limits, because this series proves.
It's the battle between and Sheeran's kind of hit a little bit of a brick wall between Nigiri. I think whatever mistake that was, Nigiri has regained himself somewhat. But I mean, we're talking two drivers are 34 seconds behind the race leader. They've actually gained a bit of time back on the race leader, Alex Palou, who we mentioned a few moments ago, the Nakajima racer, who is currently leading this race. His times, by the way, are kind of bouncing between mid 1 minute 44s and 1 minute 43s. So he's kind of just about maintaining this 7.6 second gap to second place Sho Suboi.
Just to explain a little bit for those of you who haven't watched Super Formula before, I'm talking about the Team Mugen run car, which I think is about to emerge. No, that's the Project Mu car.
That's the Ying car.
The Team Mugen run car.
Oh, and that's not off. It was that was
well, there's
Palou.
There's two of them going off. I think it's raining that quite a lot down at the first corner now, because those two cars just went off together.
But that was Palou, I think, went off there. Because I think he's lapping. I think he's actually lapping.
Yeah, it could be.
Because this is Lucas Sauer, Kenta Yamashita, and Sokakoshi. So I think he's actually lapping these drivers.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because this is Sho Suboi, who's actually coming up to the back of these back markers now. He's just put a lap on Sokakoshi, I think.
That would make sense. And now I'm just looking at the sectors coming in from Palou. No, I'm not entirely sure that was Palou, actually. Yes, it was. There you go.
But I think a lot of drivers went wide there.
Yeah.
I see Sho Suboi losing.
You can see the cars moving around a lot more now, so I really do think that it is raining a bit more, and the spray is a bit of a giveaway.
But also, it's not just a case of the raining a little bit more, but these tyres have had 30 laps, so they're not actually clearing anywhere near the kind of water they were just a few laps ago.
Now, I was just making a point for those who haven't watched Super Formula before. The team structure is a little bit different to maybe some other series. That you're not. It's a bit more like IndyCar, where you don't have to run a two-car team. Kumi Kobayashi races for the single-car KCMG team, and also you don't have to have the two cars painted the same. So Team Mugen, for example, have one Red Bull liveried car and one Team Mugen livery car. Obviously, Patricia Ward in the Red Bull liveried car, his teammate in the Motul Team Mugen.
Yeah, you got his stablemate, of course, is Lucas Sauer, who is currently still running 19th and lapped.
Yeah, there's lappery going on now. Nakajima is right on the tail of Oshima, which we'll probably see on screen in a minute. And they both seem to be gapping away from Fukuzumi and Kobayashi a little bit again. So they've picked up the pace back there, and we'll see that on our screens imminently, I suspect. Right now we're looking at third position, Yuhi Sakaguchi, who's a little bit out on his own, so I'm not quite sure why we're watching him.
He's actually just about to put a lap on Sakaguchi, because he has steadied his pace as well. He's in the early 1 minute 44, so now he is 15 seconds behind the race leader, but he took quite a bit of time out of Palou over a few laps as well, and that's steadied itself out.
The rain is definitely getting a lot worse, Lee. You can see now there's more spray, that red flag down there in the sort of middle sector, just below the restaurant there, actually.
I think that shower that was anticipated for a half hour after race may have actually drafted in early. This is let's not understate this. This is some absolute quality driving talent we're seeing on track today. This is the hardest conditions, as we say, Sakaguchi losing the back end slightly there, but these are some of the hardest conditions that you will have in motorsport.
And these are some of the world's top drivers, don't forget, because you did mention this earlier on. You're comparing young drivers coming up through the sport, like Lucas Sauer, like Patricia Ward, up against some serious old hands, Nakajima, Kobayashi. These are guys who've done an awful lot. Obviously, Nick Cassidy is a driver that disappeared off into Japan and so made a great career there, but he's a guy not to discount for a future in Formula One, as his teammate. His teammate Nakajima does have a little bit of moment, but as he gets past, that was one of the lapped cars, I believe, Yamashita.
Yes, yeah. Yamashita's not having a difficult. He's having a bit of a difficult weekend, I think it's fair to say, as we look. Just a ball of spray, Sam. There's nothing there. That's a start-finish straight.
Yeah.
And that is an indication of just how much the spray is lingering in the air on the start-finish straight.
Well, Fuji Speedway has this weird fog that sort of drifts in from down towards the first corner, and it happens many, many times. It happened in 1976. It happened in the famous WEC 6 laps race.
And I think it happened. It was that infamous Formula One race in, was it 2009 when Mark Webber got sick in his helmet?
I thought that was...
Was it 08?
Here we go. There it is. We were talking about Nick Cassidy. There he goes. Getting...
No, this is Nakajima passing Oshima.
No, I don't believe it.
It is.
Oh, yes, you're right. It is.
So that is actually the pass for 7th place. Kazuki Nakajima finally makes the move against Oshima after his stellar overtake of Fukuzumi several laps ago. That's 7th place for Nakajima. That'll be 2 points. 2 precious points. He's not, as we mentioned, he's not scored yet. So
but look to his roll hoop. It's flashing red, which means he's running low on the boost. He's running out of the boost if he's got any left at all. And if you look behind him, all the cars around him have got green on the roll hoops, which means they've still got that power boost available. They can get back past him.
Problem now for Nakajima, yes, he's made his way up to 7th place. He now has a large gap in front of him because the next driver in front is Oshira in 6th position, about 15 seconds down the road. So 22 laps left. It's going to be difficult for Nakajima to close down for 6th position unless either A, there's pit stops for the drivers ahead, or B, they run out of tyres. And that's what they've had 30 laps of hard racing on these tyres. Remember, the race started under a safety car. So they've had 30 laps of hard racing on these tyres. It's not inconceivable we could see them run completely out of rubber before this race ends.
They are all struggling for grip, more so than normal now, as we see that Docomo Team Dandelion car. I thought he was about to throw it off, but then everybody started to sort of head off track. And that's opened the door for this man. We've been talking about him quite a bit already. There he is, Kamui Kobayashi. And that KCMG liveried Dallara. Every car in the grid has an identical chassis and aerodynamic package, though there is set-up freedom. Different engines coming from Toyota and Honda, and as I said earlier, perhaps a rumour of BMW coming to join the series. But Kobayashi there getting very, very racy indeed. And
this is a situation Kobayashi now has, as they've both, Fukuzumi and Kobayashi, have caught up with the back of Oshima, who we saw lose a position to Nakajima a few moments ago. Oshima's pace has dropped off completely. He's now in the 1 minute 46s, and Fukuzumi and Kobayashi are at least 2 seconds a lap quicker than him, as we see one of the lapped cars on around the outside there. I couldn't really see who it was. There was just a bit of a blur.
No, is that Nakajima getting it done? He's very much trying to. No, that's Kobayashi getting it done.
That is Fukuzumi on Oshima.
No, that's Kobayashi. That's Kobayashi.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. That is Kobayashi still trying to make a move on Fukuzumi.
Now we know what he's going to try and do. He's going to try and do it into. He's going to hang around for the rest of this lap, and he's going to try and do it into the final corner. No, he's not. He's going to go now. That's not going to work. He's too far back.
There's Oshima just ahead of them on track there.
Struggling to get the power down, but if he can get the run up through here and into the rest of the final sector, he'll have that run up onto the inside of the final corner. We've seen him do it a few times. I don't know if he's close enough to do it this time round though.
Oshima really struggling to get any traction.
Here he goes. Watch him go to the right to try and make it up the inside. I think he's too far back to try it. No, he's trying it this time. There he goes. Ducks up to the right, tries to get the run out of the corner. Didn't work. He lost traction.
I wonder, though, if he's also thinking about Fukuzumi's going to be blocked somewhat now by Oshima coming through the first couple of corners. He's trying to make a move. I think Fukuzumi's going to do it this time around.
Now, are they going to battle it to each other too much and lose a bit of time? And will we see Kobayashi looming out of the gloom? No, we won't.
That was a very good, and I think he's gone off.
He's gone off. I wondered if that was going to happen. Yeah,
but I think he's maintained. And Oshima gets back. He has traction coming through the slight right-hand bend as we have an absolute blur. Fukuzumi still on the inside though as we go into the left-hand corner. It's not enough.
These two are going to get mugged by the guy behind him.
I think it really is beginning to rain a lot heavier now, Sam. Yeah. In the infield, it's definitely an awful lot. There's an awful lot more spray coming up from the ground. Well, that's given Oshima a bit of a breather, actually.
You're watching.
Here's Kobayashi again going down the inside, but doesn't have the traction as he exits the corner to actually finish the move.
You're watching round 4 of the 2019 Super Formula Championship here on Let's Go Racing, and the action is great as Kamui Kobayashi is trying to work his way into the points. 8th position just in front of him, but he's got to get past 2 cars to get there.
Bear in mind, Kazuki Nakajima, who passed Oshima just a few laps ago, has just set his fastest lap of the race. Now that he's in clear air at 1 minute 33.2, he's actually catching the Nojiri Oshira battle ahead of them by 2 to 3 seconds a lap at the moment. Now that he's in clear air, he's just able to actually nail it. As we see Kobayashi go down the inside, and I think he's nailed it this time. Goes a little bit wide again. Does that give Fukuzumi the room? Kobayashi cuts across.
Lovely aggressive driving.
Absolutely wonderfully done.
But he's not. But
he doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the speed coming down to start-finish straight.
He's fired up the overtaking boost. Look, you see that light flashing. He needs a bit more power to defend up the inside there. He's being squeezed towards the pit wall. Going into the right-handed turn 1. He's not on the ideal line. It's very wet down there. Will he be able to get it stopped in time? Just about. But
I think he's still gone a little bit wide there, Sam, but he's still able to cover. He's still able to cover Fukuzumi. Finally, Kobayashi gets through into 9th place and now free to attack Oshima, who's just ahead of him, who, as we've seen already, is struggling a little bit with tyres. I think he's going to be on the back of the 8th place car very, very quickly.
Now, if he gets past Oshima, then there's a bit of a gap up to the back of Kazuki Nakajima. Nakajima's fallen back a little way from the back of Ishiura now. Nojiri out on his own.
Bear in mind, in these few laps, Nakajima has pulled 6.5 seconds out on this gaggle of cars. That's just how much Oshima was holding him up for those few laps.
Nick Cassidy on the move as well, setting some strong sectors. Back in 4th position, but he's got 7 seconds to make up to get onto the back of Sekiguchi.
And in the chat there, Woogie Harrelson asks, is this Silverstone? No, this is Fuji for Super Formula, and we're seeing some absolutely stunning racing today.
Well, there's the Sunoco-sponsored Tsurumo team. Looking at making his way around, Tsushima. He should be looking in his mirrors because there is Kamui Kobayashi.
That didn't take long.
No.
But I think, Sam, we're also getting close to the point, at 36 laps of 55, we're getting close to the point now where it's probably almost too late to pit.
You've got tires. Now look, crucial development, 28.51. This race looks like it's going to go to distance.
And Sukagoshi comes in.
Yeah, now let's have a look at his lap times. The tyres are clearly worn out. They've made the tyre change. Will this be the catalyst for everybody else to come and pit?
I think the key thing for Sukagoshi, who's just pitted there, is he is lapped and down in 17th place. So he's just throwing the dice and hopefully will try and pull maybe 4 or 5 seconds a lap off the guys around him. The other teams are going to be watching his times very, very, very closely at this stage. And
it could be a race-winning difference. Now, Alex Palou, there he is, the race leader, has a 10.5 second advantage over Shosuboi in 2nd position. He has a 7.5 second advantage over Yuhi Sekiguchi, who has a 6.5 second gap over Nick Cassidy. So none of them are really comfortable to pit. However, if Palou did pit now, he's probably much guaranteed points at that position because the gaps are quite so big. There you can see on the screen the gaps relative to the leader. So Palou could probably pit and get out just behind Nick Cassidy.
I think you got to be looking at 30 to 35 seconds for a pit stop, Sam.
Well, I'm looking at Kamui Kobayashi about to go sending it up the inside into the final corner yet again. There he goes.
And I don't think Oshima has the traction to actually...
And he's got this very clever thing. He gets very defensive to stop the other car coming back at him. He picks a funny line.
But unlike Fukuzumi a few moments ago, Oshima just didn't have the traction to actually make a defensive repass on the exit of the corner anyway. I think it's 30 to 35 seconds to pit here. Bearing in mind you also have to fuel as well. That would easily drop Palou into 4th place if he were to stop, but would also leave him 25 seconds behind Shosuboi in the lead if he were to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Kobayashi gets off down the field now. I wonder if he's getting any tips there from the pit wall. A lot of experience. Hell of a lot of experience from the Nismo GT500 works driver, and I think the man who holds the Super GT lap record around here.
Might that be?
シーズン通してやっぱり意気込みっていう意味ではまあやっぱり優勝しないといけないと思ってるんですよね。まあ優勝するとね、そのチームだったりそのドライバーだったり流れがねまたすごくいい方向に行くと思うので、まず優勝というね起爆剤をねしっかりと得て、でそこから
No, we're gonna leave Lee hanging on that one.
加えられるようにねしていきたいと思思うので、今年は1回でもね勝たないといけないので、まずはそこの勝つという部分で目標をね達成したいなと思います。
Also racing, you'll see him on Let's Go Racing quite a lot, racing in various Blancpain series. He raced in an Evergreen 24 Hours.
I haven't seen him in an Evergreen 24 Hours.
In a KCM G run Nissan GTR GT3.
My brain's gone blank. I've been concentrating too much.
Sugio Matsuda.
That's it. I've been concentrating too much on Super Formula, son.
Oh, you pass a station called Matsuda just before you get to Fuji Speedway on the Romax car. I always wonder if Sugio Matsuda is from Matsuda. Probably not.
I tell you what, that is actually oddly enough, that's Kobayashi. He's just lapped Oshima's teammate Artur Markelov. Markelov currently 19th and lapped. As I mentioned earlier on, it's another difficult race for the young Russian. It's not quite working out too well for him at the moment. As we see, this is Pato O'Ward now.
Yeah, he's about to be eaten by the number 20 car.
That's Hirakawa. So
yeah.
that is for 14th, 15th place. As Wrong Swanson asks, how much faster are Super Formula cars than the GT500?
Well, I haven't actually done a lap time comparison to GT500, so I can't actually remember, but I like the Parks and Recreations reference in that name. Super Formula is quicker, of course, being a single-seater.
With loads of downforce.
Same power levels, but a lot lighter. These cars weigh around, I think, about 660 kilos. So if you put that into context, a fully laden Formula One car is substantially heavier than that.
780 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And a GT500 car far heavier than that again.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And Vitz Patel asks, it's an important question, does Super Formula have an equivalent to the Orange Jacket Man?
Well, hold on to the podium and you'll find out, won't you?
24 minutes left in this race as we are still watching Ryo Hirakawa in 4th place. He's just taken Pato O'Ward a few moments ago. Pato O'Ward, I think his pace is beginning to level out, drop slightly. He's back into 1 minute 45. Hirakawa, this late in the race, has found a little bit of a lease of life. He's in 1 minute 44s, but still a long way behind the points for the Team Impul driver.
Just looking through the field, looking for drivers on the move. Yusuke Gucci setting some nice sectors in 3rd position. Only 5 seconds now off the back of Sho Tsuboi, but Nick Cassidy also closing that gap up to 5 seconds to the back of Sakaguchi. So there could be some concertinaing up the front. Now, is Sho Tsuboi losing time to himself, or is this the end of those tyres? And let's have a look at that Tsukukoshi lap times. How is he getting on?
Well, Sho Tsuboi just set at 1 minute 45.1. Nick Cassidy last time around actually said his fastest lap of the race of 1 minute 42.9. He's just knocked in another one that's a 43.0. So he has made his laps, the New Zealand driver has made his laps last very well in these wet conditions. And the gap between from Cassidy to the race leader is now down to 20 seconds. He's taken 4 seconds out of Paleo in the last few laps. 22.5 minutes left in this race, Sam.
Yuki Sakaguchi there just telling us something from the Team Impul garage, but
I think he's talking about catering, actually.
Probably is. The catering at Fuji Speedway is particularly good. Behind the main grandstand, there's lots of these little food stalls and lots of shops where you can buy all sorts of brilliant Japanese motorsport sort of clobber and stickers and things. Nice model car shops. But there are these little vans that sell this lovely sort of yakitori and these. It's great food. I'm actually quite hungry now thinking about it. The restaurant, though, in the paddock isn't wonderful.
Yeah.
It's all right. I mean, nothing's bad in Japan, but it's just not as good as the stuff behind the main grandstand. In case anyone ever goes to Fuji Speedway. Anyway, here's the battle between...
This is Oshima and Fukuzumi for 9th place, and Fukuzumi gets it done on start-finish straight and makes it look quite easy. And from that perspective. And I wonder now, we saw when Oshimi was passed by Kobayashi, he's struggling to get any traction whatsoever coming out of the final corner, and I just wonder if that's now hindering him coming down to start-finish straight. He simply does not get the traction and therefore does not have the speed to kind of fend anyone off at this stage. He's dropping well out of the points now. Fukuzumi is going to be on a charge, as Kobayashi has actually pulled out, I think, 8 seconds ahead of these guys.
Yeah, I thought that would happen, and he's now hunting down Nakajima. He is gaining on Nakajima, but perhaps not by enough.
But both of them are also catching the Ishuri and Nohiri battle ahead of them.
Well, Cassidy as well up front. Cassidy is catching Sekiguchi. Sekiguchi is catching Tsuboi. And Tsuboi isn't catching Pulu, who's disappeared off into the distance.
So we've had a few people ask, why is there both a lap counter and the time counter on the top of your screen there? Well, it is a 55-lap race, but the races are also limited to 90 minutes. So we're getting to the stage now. The pace is such that we may actually run out of time for this race before we're able to get to the allotted 55 laps. 20 and a half minutes left in this race. It's 14 laps left, but at 1 minute 44 or so, it's going to be, I doubt very much we'll hit 55 laps. We may get to 52 or 53.
Well, in response to definitely not the real Ted Kravitz, I'm not scared of Godzilla. Mecha Godzilla, on the other hand, who knows?
Mecha Streisand? A little bit of a South Park reference for those who remember.
And everybody knows it's King Ghidorah you need to run from. Anyway, Fuji Speedway, built originally for NASCAR racing, but they never finished the NASCAR oval. They built the first corner, which was banked, and then decided after having a conversation with Sterling Moss of all people that they should just build a road course instead because it was cheaper. And what a road course got built, but it turned out to be a bit dangerous and quite a few people died on that banking. They shortened the track, and then in the early 21st century, Herman Tilke came and did his thing and didn't ruin the track actually, and created the Fuji Speedway we now know, which is I think is one of the best race circuits in the world.
It still does retain an awful lot of the character that the old circuit did.
It really does, yeah.
And okay, yes, it does have tarmac runoff area here, there, and everywhere, but that's just something you will see in modern motorsport. But it's it's still a very, very challenging circuit, as we've seen today.
Now keep your eye on the cars we're looking at on screen. Yuhi Sekiguchi is hunting down that car in front of him, Sho Tsuboi, and the gap is getting much, much smaller. But Sekiguchi needs to be looking in his mirrors because he too is being hunted down by the green and white car of Nick Cassidy.
For those wondering, last place Lucas Auer, 3 laps down, and wondering where he's actually pitted 4 times in this race. So I think
it's not right, is it?
Well, I think they're treating this race very much as a test session now.
That's a big flag, isn't it? That chap. He's
been
waving
very,
it all
very
race.
And he's actually. I wonder if is he waving it or is the wind waving him?
I think a bit of both.
As we're looking at Sekiguchi. Now the gap between Sekiguchi and Sho Tsuboi is now only 2.3 seconds, Sam. That is closing up quite nicely, and Tsuboi is taking is losing about half a second to a second per lap over Sekiguchi each lap around.
And interestingly, Sekiguchi is using his power boost not for overtaking, but to get lap time to catch up to the back of Sho Tsuboi,
and
because he's now, you can see the roll hoop light flashing slowly, which means he's been using the power boost, but he's not actually near any other cars at the moment.
But I think it's actually worked, because that gap has come down an awful lot in this lap alone. It's just going to be about a second and a half or 1.8 seconds by the time they actually come around to start and finish line.
So a full setup now. Tyre stop for Harrison Newey. That's interesting.
Now,
so these drivers, the majority of drivers here, and the car is on fire.
Again!
Yeah.
That is the second race in a row. That is 2 races in a row where Harrison Newey's come in for a pit stop and the car's caught fire.
Yeah.
Near the fuel input.
Yeah, but that was interesting. So it's kept going.
Harrison Newey's down in 14th place. He's pretty much a lap down, changing into fresh tyres. Not really much to lose. Not really much to gain, I don't think.
You can see that the rain is coming down because all the people in the grandstand have gone up to the top of the grandstand, which is covered, whereas the lower pit section isn't. Now, it does look like we are getting full-on pit stops, so this could turn out to be quite unpredictable now.
Well, this is the interesting point, Sam. At this stage, it's the likes of Harrison Newey that far down in the order can take the risk and actually go for pit stops. But if you're in a points-paying position, do you risk losing that position to go for a pit stop? It's particularly when there's only 17 minutes left in this race. It's not going to be a whole lot of time to actually make best use of those tyres.
You could put the new ones on, get a load more grip, and absolutely go for it because you don't have to try and keep them alive. 16 minutes to go, though. Would you do it with that little race in the race? But are these tyres really beginning to die? The lap times don't suggest they are.
You'd need to be taking a minimum of 2 to 3 seconds a lap off the drivers ahead of you to really make that work at this point. And I think that might just be too much. As we see the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th place. Nakajima, I think he's really, that's not 3 seconds anymore. He's right on the near the rear wing of Ashira and Nohiri. And bear in mind, this was a battle we said earlier on probably wouldn't happen because the battle for 5th and 6th place at that time was 14 seconds down the road. Well, Nakajima has absolutely put his foot down.
We need to. So I've just seen a notification appear on screen. We are going to see pit stops at the front. Yuhi Sakaguchi's crew are waiting.
I think they may be about to pit.
I think they are going to pit him, and we'll see if the others around him do likewise. Alex Palou, well, 12 seconds advantage.
Well, the
difficult decision that for that
interesting thing for Sakaguchi, he may just, it'll be close, he may just have enough of an advantage to get out near to where Oshiri and that battle is. Maybe not.
So let's see. It's fuel and tyres, so they had to stop.
But bear in mind, a lot of these drivers who've probably fueled long.
It's fuel only. Fuel only stop.
So this is a splash and dash, really.
Yeah. Well, that's telling. They plan to change tyres, and then so the tyre wear isn't the problem. He's out of juice. Now, are the others going to be able to go the distance?
Now, the only way, really, that is the battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th gone past. And I think 8th is.
He's going to be down. There's Kobayashi.
That's Kobayashi there.
Yeah. So that is the battle for.
That's going to be 7th. Yeah. I'm surprised though that he didn't change tyres because the option is there.
Yeah, but if he had, he'd have dropped out the points. Because Kobayashi there now up to 7th. But will other drivers, will other cars, 14 minutes to go, will they have enough gas to make it? That's going to be interesting.
That is a lot of drivers are fueled long in these conditions. Now you could make the end if you really lifted and coasted for much of this race and probably did laps in the 1:45 region. But a lot of these drivers, even though the conditions are such, have been doing 1:43s, so burning just maybe a little bit more fuel than optimum to make it to the end of this race. So we could also see a lot of drivers to try and make the end of this race either pit for fuel, as we've just seen Sakaguchi do, or really seriously lift and coast in the final few laps. And interestingly enough, we're looking at if you look to the front of the field, Alex Palou's now down in the 1:46s. Shosubai second place is in the 1:45s. They're really lifting off.
Well, that's it. And Shosubai backing off. He just lost 0.5 of a second to Nick Cassidy in the first sector.
Cassidy was 3 seconds a lap faster than the race leader on the last lap alone. That gap has gone, in the last few laps, that gap has gone from 24 seconds. It is now 15.6.
Speaking about places where you can hold different motor races, I've seen someone suggest that Central Circuit should come back, should be raced in Super Formula. I think that'd be quite a fun one. Someone else suggested that North Wilkesboro should come back to NASCAR. He's absolutely right, it should. I also think NASCAR should race on dirt, but I don't get to decide. I would like, though, to see some different tracks on the Super Formula calendar. And I think we have some Super Formula calendar news.
We do. The provisional 2020 calendar was announced earlier this weekend. As we see, that is Pato Award being passed. That's lapped by Alex Palou. The provisional 2020 calendar was announced over this weekend. It is exactly the same, except this race, the Fuji race, is moving to the season opener at the start of April. That is because I think there's Olympic events going on in Japan. Japan during July next year. So rather than have the clash, they decided to move that race to the beginning of the year. That is, Fuji's going to be April 4th to the 5th, Suzuka April 25th, 26th. Then Autopolis May 16th, 17th, Sugo June 20th to 21st. Then there's a bit of a gap. There's a 2-month gap. End of August, Motegi. Okayama, as per usual, in September, end of September. And then the season finishes October 31st, November 1st for the 7th and final round in Suzuka. That is the provisional 2020 calendar. And the only change, as I mentioned, is Fuji moves from July to April to accommodate the Olympics.
And that is because Fuji Speedway itself is an Olympic venue.
The track is a cycling venue.
That's right, yeah. Yes. So the top cyclists in the world will be competing around Fuji Speedway. They've already got the Olympic rings ready to go in place. I was there a few weeks ago. They started painting up. They're really improving the already pretty good facilities there for this.
You know something? Cassidy's just taken another 2 seconds a lap out of the race leaders there. He's coming to the back of Shosuboi very, very, very quickly. That is Nakajima on the rear of the other Inging car,
right,
Ishiro. That is, and Nojiri just ahead of them. That is for 4th, 5th, and 6th positions. Very, very close to get it. Kobayashi's in a further 5.5 seconds behind them.
Now 11 minutes to go. This could be quite a thrilling 11 minutes here on Let's Go Racing. So let's see how this is going to end out.
The only reason you would pit now is if you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Now, we saw a few moments ago Sekiguchi take some fuel. Now, that's not necessarily to say that he's actually out of fuel, is about to run dry, but I wonder if they fueled him up with the message to absolutely put your foot down, go flat out. You have enough extra fuel to do so.
And I think that's absolutely right. The driver you've got to ask the question about, Alex Palou, can he go to the end on the fuel he's got?
He's back into 44s at the moment.
I wonder if that's why. 11-second lead, not enough to make a pit stop without losing out to Shosuboi. And now the extremely fast gaining Nick Cassidy, still taking time out of Shosuboi. And it could see Cassidy.
Well, I think the one positive thing coming for Palou at the moment is Cassidy's coming up right behind Shosuboi at the moment, so that could potentially delay the young Kiwi, the 3-time New Zealand Grand Prix winner.
You like that statistic?
I love that statistic. No one knows this race exists.
I think we should try and get the New Zealand Grand Prix on Let's Go Racing.
I think we should get the Toyota Racing Series on Let's Go Racing. We're closing in on 500 likes. Let's all show our appreciation for the work that goes in for bringing these races. I love these races. This is fantastic.
It's great. This is proper motor racing.
And we're now, as you see, the time clock has turned red at the front of the screen. Less than 10 minutes left in this race, Sam. We're absolutely no way we're going to make the 55 lap mark. We'll probably get to about 52 maybe.
Yeah, or
53 at a push.
And that makes the fuel situation a lot even more interesting. Now, was that Kobayashi getting into the mix? No, it wasn't. I think Nakajima about to get into the mix with Ishiura. We're seeing that.
Yes.
But I did see 2 cars rather scrapping, and there we go.
Goes wide.
Now he's going to get that done, I think.
And that is for 5th. Yeah, that's for 5th place.
Yeah, that was a mistake by Ishiura, I think.
But I think it's more Ishiura's just probably run out of tyres now at this stage, because his pace has been falling off somewhat for the last few laps, and we've seen Nakajima pretty much almost take 15 seconds out of these guys, and he's now going to go for 4th place Nohiri. Nakajima has not scored a point in Super Formula so far this season, and bearing in mind his starting position, this will be a pretty good result if he can hold on to it.
And that's something of a surprise, I have to say, if it's that way round, because his teammate is hunting a title and hunting a future in Formula 1, I suspect. He hasn't admitted as much. I think he probably is. And it would be quite interesting to see. So there is the gap between Shosuboi and Nick Cassidy, who is, of course, Nakajima's teammate. We're not looking at Cassidy, we're looking at Kobayashi. I don't know why. He's 3 seconds behind Ishiura, but he's probably going to be on the tail of him pretty quickly. You'll see him at the top of the screen in a moment.
I think that's Kobayashi there.
Yeah.
That 3 seconds is gone. That's Kobayashi there.
Yeah, he's getting onto Ishiura, but Cassidy is just 2 seconds now behind Shosuboi for 2nd position.
Palu's lost another second a few moments ago, as we see. And we're on the battle now for Shosuboi and Nick Cassidy. Cassidy actually almost lost the rear end coming into the right-hander there. This is going to be an interesting challenge. As we said, Yamamoto's not scoring points in this race at the moment. He's down in 12th place. He's not going to be gaining any positions to get into the points of this race. So Cassidy needs to get as many points as possible in this race. He's currently on 6 points. If he stays in 3rd place, he will get an extra 2. It'll bring him 8 points if he gets 2nd place. By the way, that pit stop for Sekiguchi really hasn't worked out for him. He's down in 8th place, and I don't think he's making anywhere near enough at the moment to actually gain those positions back in the remaining 7 minutes. His pace, by the way, is in the 1 minute 44, 1 minute 45, so he's definitely not gaining enough pace. Cassidy, though, 1.8 seconds behind Shosuboi as they come across the line.
Just under 7 minutes to go now.
Bear in mind, Nick Cassidy lost this championship last year to Yamamoto by a single point, so every position really does count. And every race where a championship challenger doesn't score, one of the others really need to gain it. As Cassidy gets right on the rear wing.
That's Nakajima.
Oh, sorry, that's Nakajima on a...
Nojiri. That's
Nakajima for 4th place.
Yeah. Home race for this team in the Team Mugen, Team Ventolin Toms, based, as I mentioned earlier, just down the road from the circuit entrance. And somebody coming out of the pits there.
I think that was Sheeran just on the inside line, the very inside line, coming down the start-finish straight, coming out of the gloom there as we continue to see Nakajima battling with Nojiri. He is using his overtake button to defend as much as possible from the Le Mans winner just behind. 6 minutes left in this race, Sam. This is really coming down to a very, very, very tight conclusion. I think Pelo, though, might just be safe. He's 11 seconds ahead of Sho Suboi in the lead of this race. As we see Nakajima go down the inside, doesn't have the traction to make it work. Nojiri holds on to 4th place.
He's going to try the Kobayashi move into the final corner. I don't think he's going to quite be able to... Oh, he's close enough.
Close.
Yeah.
He's very close.
He's not going to get to the final corner. He's going to try it here, but I don't think he'll make the move stick there. No one has managed that one
but
yet.
It's also put him offline as well. As we come through the...
he needs to look behind him because Ishiura is getting quite interested in the back of...
I think Nojiri's holding Nakajima up significantly now. The 4th place man is in the 1 minute 45, so everyone behind him is capable quite a bit quicker.
We're not seeing it now, but Cassidy's right on the tail of Sho Suboi at the moment as well, further up the field, battling for 2nd position. But we'll stick with this battle for 4th position with Nojiri, Ishiura, Nakajima, and Kamui Kobayashi.
I know, and Nakajima goes wide. Nakajima's off and loses positions, but he's got traction.
Nearly takes out Kobayashi as he passes back by with that traction. This is going to be spicy.
And that leaves Ishiura back into 5th place. Nakajima dropped down to 6th, was 7th only momentarily. And both of them were very lucky not to take each other out. The Toyota WEC teammates there.
That would have been an interesting conversation, wouldn't it, when they got to Silverstone for the race in a few weeks.
It would be an interesting conversation right in the paddock right after this race.
Well, yeah.
4.5 minutes left in this race, Sam. As we see, this is the battle now for 2nd place. Sho Suboi, 2nd place in the number 39 Ing car, and in number 37 Team Toms. That's Nick Cassidy furiously looking for a way past, and he may just have a run on the Japanese driver here. He's going on the inside into the right-hander. And they're going wheel to wheel, but Sho Suboi just holds on. A fantastic attempt there, but wonderful defending from Sho Suboi as Nick Cassidy sticks to the rear wing of the Ing car.
This ain't done yet. Watch him try and make the move into the right-hander. Takes the tight line, Kobayashi style. Gets wheel to wheel coming out the final corner. Will he have enough traction? No, he won't. Now he'll sit behind him, hit the overtake button and try it down into the first corner. That long right-hander. There goes the overtake button.
Both of them are on it. And Sho Suboi lost 4 seconds on that last lap to the race leader, Alex Pelou. Such was the time he was losing, fending off a feisty Nick Cassidy. Cassidy going down, looking down the inside. There's not enough room there. He's not going to make it stick.
That battle for 4th is still absolutely raging as well, but this is the battle for 2nd, so we're going to stick with this, I think, for now. Cassidy, as you see those roll hoop lights flashing, Cassidy taking different lines so he can see. There goes Kobayashi. Getting it done, maybe, getting better traction. No, just losing out. Hits the overtake boost button, gets in line. He's going to come back into the first corner.
Nakajima has already, is up to 6th place. So we see... Nakajima has actually taken 5th place from Ishiura. Yep. This is Kobayashi to demote Ishiura another position. He didn't make it stick a few laps ago. Will he make it stick this time?
Into the first corner.
As we see Ishiura come across the circuit, really.
And there is Nakajima.
Not great control there whatsoever, and almost ran into the back of Kobayashi, who's now up to 6th place. Started 19th, Sam.
2.5 minutes to go. Who will finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th? All of these positions to play for. But up front, it's Alex Pelou with a little bit of an advantage in his TCS Nakajima Racing Run Dallara Honda. You're watching Let's Go Racing. This is round 4 of the 2019 Super Formula Championship. We have 2 minutes left to go, and it's all to play for.
Bear in mind, we haven't seen a huge amount of Alex Pelou in this race so far, but he has driven absolutely superbly. He has led every single lap You see Nick Cassidy losing a little bit of time there coming out of the final corner. But Moehle, who's led every single lap, he's driven impeccably, and with a gap of 13.4 seconds, will most likely take the checkered flag first. And it would be absolutely deserved as we watch this continuing battle for second place. Less than 2 minutes left. Shows Suboy second place in the 39 Indian car. Nick Cassidy third place in the number 37 Teams Tom's car. This is going to be a fight right to the checkered flag, Sam.
Now, Patricia Ward in the Red Bull livery team Mugen car is just in front of this pair of cars battling for second position. Will he see them coming? 1.5 minutes to go. Cassidy trying to get back onto the tail of Sho Suboy and take second position off him. Back down the field, Nakajima, Nojiri, Kobayashi and Ishiura all scrapping for position as well. They've spread out a little bit more with the weather conditions, but that doesn't matter. They will come back together. Well, I'm not sure if the checkered flag will fall at the end of this lap, actually, Lee, or the end of the next one.
There's only 1 minute left, so I think it'll be another lap after
Palou
this
is
one.
On track, isn't it? Yeah.
It's going to be another lap after this one. As you're right there, Patricia O'Ward just ahead of them. Now, they're not closing up on O'Ward so quickly that he needs to dive out of the way at this stage. Sho Suboy's pace is still very much in the 1 minute 45s, I believe. 1 minute 44s, 1 minute 45s.
But if they catch O'Ward at just the wrong point there now. Here's Alex Palou, the race leader, coming out to start what I believe will be the beginning of the final lap. 30 seconds left on the clock. And I haven't read the regulations on this bit, whether it's plus one lap or it's just the end of this lap. I think it's just the end of this lap. And we'll get a final lap graphic, hopefully, if it is.
Or not.
Or not. Maybe it's not.
Moehle still, he's made his tyres last absolutely brilliant. He actually goes off just as I say that. He's made his tyres last. He's done an absolutely impeccable job. His pace has been good. He was quick when he needed to be quick. He lifted off when he needed to lift it off, and he's maintained a solid pace right to the end. Here's a guy who's shown such incredible speed in qualifying this year. He was on the front row of the season opener in Suzuka. He initially qualified second at the previous round at Sugo, but lost that position due to crashing and bringing out a red flag, and he qualified pole. He got the point for pole yesterday. Now he's led every single lap in this race so far. He also has the fastest lap in this race so far,
which is an extra point. So it's it's pole position.
No, it's just pole. But he has the fastest lap, and he's led every lap. I think this is his Grand Slam, isn't it?
I think
pole led every lap, fastest lap, and win.
Yeah, and it's also a bit of a breakout year for him as well. It'd be interesting to see how his career develops from here, taking on some seriously strong opposition here in Super Formula.
The Nakajima Honda driver, he's ex-FIA F3 in GP3. He was finished third overall in Euro Formula Open back in 2014. He was third overall in Japanese F3 in 2017. And last year, European F3, he was seventh in the points. He took several podiums there. So this will be a very, very nice, well, more than nice race for Alex. He's going to be absolutely delighted. He's been imperious all weekend, coming down the start-finish straight to take the checkered flag.
It's there, honestly.
It's somewhere in there, and Alex Palou does take the race win in his TCS Nakajima Honda car. Fantastic drive, and I had no idea who that is in the background. All I saw was a roll hoop bar.
I don't think that was Sho Suboy.
No, I think they're too far.
We'll see him in a minute.
Oh, no, Sho Suboy has taken to the line just 1.3 seconds ahead of Kazuki Nakajima. There was a big battle for fourth place. All I'm looking at is mist
Cassidy.
At the moment.
That was Cassidy looming out of the mist. This is the battle further down with Nakajima, Kobayashi and Ishiura. And who will win this? They haven't quite crossed the line yet, coming up to the final corner for the final time, and that looks like it's all going to be line astern for that one. Kobayashi there.
That is Ishiura, and then it is going to be Nakajima in fifth place, his first points of the year, and then the third car in the picture there, Kamui Kobayashi, sixth place, and also his first points of the year. A very, very welcome return for them on this Fuji race. Almost a minute behind the race leader, Sam.
13 positions gained through the race by Kobayashi.
Brilliant drive by Kamui Kobayashi, particularly in those early 10 laps where he just made mincemeat of some of the drivers at the back of the field. And on Itsushima spins on the final lap.
Well,
he was down in 10th. Oshiro did come across the line at 7th place. Sekaguchi's gamble didn't pay off. He comes home 8th. Oshima, he was running 10th, I believe.
How has he managed that then?
So he spun coming out the penultimate corner, or he maybe spun in or exiting the penultimate corner, maybe got a wheel on the grass or something like that.
Well, this man doesn't care. Alex Palou, winner round 4 of the 2019 Super Formula Championship. The Spaniard has really impressed this season. And as I haven't worked out the championship points,
he was on 4 beforehand, so he's now up to 14th points.
So don't forget to hit like and subscribe.
And join the channel.
Yeah, join the channel, absolutely. We'll be bringing you some really great racing action throughout the rest of the season. VLN, the big truck Grand Prix at the Nürburgring is going to be on the channel. Truck racing is fantastic. If you've never watched it, do join us for that. We've got an announcement of another new event we'll be announcing that on Monday, but keep your diaries free for Saturday and Sunday next weekend, because we've got a special event coming up on Let's Go Racing. But for now, let's go back to Super Formula. Stay with us for the podium ceremonies and the interviews, which will be in English.
And of course, Sam, the other thing to remember as well, you're not just watching these races live on Let's Go Racing, you can also go back and watch previous races as well. The first 3 rounds of the 2019 Super Formula Championship from Suzuka, Autopolis and Sugo are all on the Let's Go Racing YouTube channel, as well as a whole host of other videos that you can and should watch.
World's Fastest Gamer, the new host channel for that, so that will be quite interesting to see the gamers. But here's somebody who's not gaming because he's winning. It's Alex Palou.
And he's rightfully delighted with himself. I mentioned it already, but that was an absolutely fantastic drive. Deserved win, deserved 10 points. Pole position, fastest lap, led every lap. That is the absolute, you cannot get any better than that. He has been absolutely imperious today.
Well,
53 laps and just absolutely nailed it.
Patricia O'Ward brought it home in 14th position. Not bad for his first race, but this guy
Look at how delighted
is the one to watch. Very, very happy.
And you know what? Suddenly, he's a contender. Now the drivers, the rest of the field, they're going to be looking at Alex Palou and thinking, well, this is different. He is now moved up a notch. He is in the realm of those drivers who can go out in the toughest conditions, can win races. And if he can build... If he can turn this speed he so obviously has into consistency, then he will be a challenger. He may be too late to build a championship challenge this year, but I think they're really going to be looking to build something big for 2020, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. He could still conceivably have a championship run this year, but I don't think his early form wouldn't have made that too easy.
No, I think too many he had the pace in the early rounds, but too many issues for it to come together. He'd only had 1 point score. He had a 6th place prior to this. So, and he's getting congratulated there. That's Nakajima and Cassidy there in the background.
Yes, indeed. You did win.
Very, very, very good win. And you know what? A very, very nice chap as well. As a guy I came across quite a few times in the European Championship paddock last year. Very nice guy and race winner here at Fuji. But yeah, here's a guy who can build on it. He has the pace. He's just maybe been missing that last bit of consistency up until now, and maybe this will bring him. This is the point now where the rest of the field begin to take him seriously. Really take him seriously as Chio-san in the paddock to interview race winner Alex Palou.
優勝ウィナーのアレックス・パロ選手とか来てます。So congratulations, Alex. So bit difficult condition, but you try hard and we are pushing. So how do you finish and how do you feel now?
Yeah, thank you very much. It was an amazing day. I don't know. The car was amazing. I just had to manage to avoid to stop because of the fuel. So I was just managing the fuel and the gap. So yeah, it was a crazy race, really good. The team did an amazing job. They gave me the best car today. So yeah, really thankful for everybody.
Okay.
So yeah, that's interesting to see that it was indeed, as we suspected, a fuel-saving event. With the refueling allowed in Super Formula, Chio's just translating what Palou just told you. That strategy when you're having to manage tyres and fuel, it's something I think a lot of the sport is missing at the moment.
And the other thing was we saw that with Sekiguchi, when he did try to go off strategy in the middle of that race while running in 3rd place, it didn't necessarily work in the end. He didn't have the speed when he came out of the pits to actually make that work. And he from 3rd place, he ended up coming home 8th. That's actually quite poor for Sekiguchi, who actually won an Autopolis. wasn't able to actually, and that's a big dent from third place to just take a single point.
Yeah.
He's not going to be happy with that.
And it's made the championship. To me, it's looking a little bit like the championship. We'll see the points in a minute bit. As Satoru Nakajima talks about the race just gone and the fact it was timed and it was a little bit more tense. It's going to be interesting to see how the points stack up, but it's looking to me like it might be another Cassidy Yamamoto battle for the title towards the 3 races to go.
I think Cassidy he'll be happy with the podium, considering that he started 5th place, but he could probably also be a little bit disappointed he didn't nail Sho Suboi.
Yeah.
And actually, there's another thing, just before I forget, Alex Palou, Sho Suboi, the 2 drivers who finished 1st and 2nd in this race, both rookies.
Yeah.
Sho Suboi, last year's Japanese Formula 3 champion, of course, and making his first year in the Super Formula category. So, very, very good showing from the rookies today.
Well, there was a big thank you there from, of course, from Nakajima-san, as well as from Chio-san.
And just a note as well, in the 14th place, finishing in a lap down in the Team Mugen car. A very good job, actually, by Pato Award.
Yeah, I think it was a good debut. We'll see what he can do when he gets more used to the car and the tracks.
And gets more used to dry running, because which is something he's been starved of this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how his pace will compare. But I wouldn't expect him to be a big contender until the end of the season, because it's going to take him a while to bed into it. But this man, Alex Palou, is already that contender. We'll see him go up to the podium. Oh, he's gone for a thumbs up. But don't forget, Super Formula coming up. Next race is in Twin Ring Motegi, 17th and 18th of August, followed by Okayama, 28th and 29th of September, and Suzuka rounds out the year on the 27th of October. All of them will be live here in full and uninterrupted on Let's Go Racing, so hit like and subscribe. Now, in the gloom and murk of Fuji Speedway, they go looking for the podium.
This is the final results as Alex Palou, race winner, 13 seconds ahead of Sho Suboi, who was just ahead of Nick Cassidy. Tomoki Nohira, 4th place, ahead of Kazuki Nakajima, Kamui Kobayashi. That was a great battle right to the end of the race. Hiroki Yoshiro, 7th place. Yehi Sekiguchi went from 3rd, pitted, finished 8th. He took the final points position as Nurei Fukuzumi, and Tadasuke Makino took 10th place, rounding out the top half of the field.
Then from 11th position, which will appear on the screen,
it's Yamamoto. Naoki Yamamoto took 11th place.
He's got to be disappointed with that.
He's got to be very, very disappointed. Qualified 9th, was running 9th earlier on, but then had that curious spin in the penultimate corner, which dropped him a few positions. Ryo Hirakawa takes 12th place in the Team Impul car, as Kazuya Oshima took 13th. Didn't actually take the flag in the end after his spin on the final lap. Patricia O'Ward, as we mentioned there, 14th place. Good effort on his first round. Yuji Kunimoto took 15th ahead of Harrison Nui. Had another fire in the pit lane when he went fueled late on. Kenta Yamashita, Kudai Tsukukoshi both lapped twice, 17th and 18th place. The final finisher, Artem Markelov, lapped 3 times. Lucas Sauer didn't finish in the end. He pulled in around lap 40. Bit of a dire race, unfortunately, for Lucas.
It'll be interesting to see what the issue with his car there was. Clearly not a driver-related issue, though. That was a car issue, because you wouldn't make that many pit stops and then not finish.
He did lap 4 times, and I think was just running it more as a test session for a while.
Markelov's front wing went missing during the race. We never found out what happened to it. He spun later on as well. They found the podium and the Sake connection. But first, some highlights.
The race started under safety car conditions. Such were the conditions early in this race. The safety car was out for the first 3 laps, and from there, Alex Palou just pulled away from second place Sho Suboi, building a very comfortable gap early on. We saw moves from Nick Cassidy. That was to take Oshiro for 4th place in the early running. That was key to him pulling away. And this is Yamamoto's spin we saw a few moments ago. Got his rear tyre on the curb, spun him around. That dropped him from 9th to 12th. He was not able to recover up the field from there.
Is he going to rue that at the end of the season? Now look at this battling going on between the Team Tom's car.
And that was, of course, Nakajima. That wonderful move around the outside.
And it's Team Toms have really made the running today. Their green and white cars have been in the thick of the battles all the way through the race, and they've really been quite entertaining.
And that was another key move from Nakajima to get past Oshima and really pull away. This was the battle between Kobayashi and Fukuzumi, which went on for many, many, many laps. Kobayashi trying to go down the inside of the final corner. Fukuzumi pulling the position back before Kobayashi finally nailed it, and then Kobayashi taking Oshima with great ease a few laps later.
Kobayashi's good at overtaking, who knew?
Sekiguchi pitted from third place, fueled to the end in a hope to maybe be able to put his foot down and run through the field and maybe gain a few more positions. It did not work for him. He finished 8th place
Still
in the end.
Got the last of the points, but did just get beaten by that man, Kobayashi.
And this is also key for Kobayashi to actually get past Fukuzumi, because this allowed him to charge and catch up with the Yoshiro and Nakajima battle.
Kobayashi ultimately finishing 6th, which was very good from where he started the race.
In 19th position was his start, as we see Alex Palou, who, as we mentioned, pole position, won the race, led every single lap, fastest lap, largely untroubled today, apart from the conditions. And you know what? A few times early in that race, it looked as if he was going to throw it off, but he held it some, delivered a wonderful performance as he jumps onto the top step of the podium now. Fantastic job.
That's it, yeah. He's come out and standing there looking happy. Zero flag technique.
Yes. He needs more flags.
I know. That's how you do it.
He's not really doing it properly if he doesn't have a flag to stick into his belt.
I mean, he's been in Japan now. It's not like Patricia Award. We'd accept him not knowing. See, Cassidy knows how to do it. He's got a little Gazoo Racing flag there. Maybe Honda have just been skimping on the flag budget. They sent them all to Max Verstappen. Here's Satoru Nakajima up on the podium. Been a while since he's done that. I wonder if Satoru Nakajima fancies a run out in one of these Super Formula cars. That'd be good to watch.
Not in a day like this, I don't think.
I wonder if they've got a Spanish national anthem. They do. Yeah, cut it short.
It's a comment there from Rinaldi Ramadan. 99% clean race considering the conditions today, Sam, and I think that's actually a fair shout.
It is, apart from Artem Markelov. It was a completely clean race.
But a few spins here and there, that was really it. There was no actual incidents or crashes between
we don't know what Artem Markelov hit.
Probably just hit himself.
He managed to lose his front wing. We never saw what happened to that. Well, Alex Palou up there on the top step of the podium. Now, let's see what trophies he gets. He gets a standard. See, these Fuji Speedway trophies, these are nice with the etching of Mount Fuji on the side. They're very, very nice trophies here at Fuji Speedway. So that's quite a nice one. So they're sharing up. There's the second place. You can see the track diagram and that little etching I mentioned. And all the constructor gets a different looking trophy. Maybe they just didn't have the etched ones in stock, so Satoru Nakajima has to settle for that one with the handles on. No etching. What else do they get? Oh, no, a photographer looked like she wanted to walk onto the podium and realised she thought best of it. Here come the girls with... Well, I don't know what the girls are doing, actually. No sake? It says it's sake connection on the front of it. No, they haven't got any sake. Cassidy will be really relieved about that. He has these... issues with bottles and opening them.
I think he's getting better.
He did actually go and practice that. So they've paused for a photograph. No random prize here.
Very, very quiet during the photograph.
Yeah, it's a sign of they didn't want to put the photographers off. Delicate flowers, the photographers. Cassidy's like going, oh, where's the sake? Now he's got the worried face on. They're being directed by the man with the clipboard to do something.
A very high-tech clipboard.
Yes.
It's even got curvatures at the bottom of it. Aero clipboard.
That's how advanced it is. Well, there they are for more photos. They decided they didn't have enough photos with the trophies. They are very nice trophies, though.
They are actually. They're actually very, very nice. And you can see the gleam of the flashlights and shutters in the reflection.
But still, no, I don't understand the Saki connection when there hasn't been any Saki coming out. So that's what he's asking for. I want some Saki. Bring it here. Oh, the strange photographer lady's just sort of stuck her head out again. Oh, now she comes. She's not a photographer. She's I don't know what she's doing actually. She's just got a book. Okay. Oh, it's another interview. Okay. We're going to hear from Alex Palou again.
Hello. Yeah, thank you very much. It was a crazy day. I mean, it was amazing. Car was really fast. I just had to manage the pace with the other guys, the fuel mileage, and yeah, I'm just really, really happy, mind-blowing. So yeah, thank you very much for the support.
Well, no need to translate that, so I'll tell you what RJ O'Connell's just told us here on Super GT World on the internet. It's the first Spanish winner in the series since Pedro de la Rosa in 1997, and the first Honda winner at Fuji Speedway since 2009, which was Duval won that, and the first Nakajima Racing victory in the series since 2010. So a really very good day for...
That was Takashi Kagure for Nakajima Racing in 2010. So,
well done to RJ O'Connell. It's good facts.
That was
and Satoru Nakajima just literally said thank you.
That's Sugo in that 2010 race.
いや本当に名古屋弁で言っていいやっとかめっつんだよねこういうの久しぶりに来たっていう意味で
Well, he's sharing a joke, sorry, something about Nagoya from the sound of it, but probably just recounting RJ O'Connell's brilliant stats as well.
It is a long time waiting for a race win in the Series X Super Formula, so 9 years.
Waiting for a train in Hitchin. Oh, there's a big bug. There's a bug on the screen in the background. Look, there's an unexpected guest on the podium. Look at that. I'm behind the... Yeah. Oh, he's got a flag. A late flag arrival. Do
you think that's what the lady was bringing in?
I wonder if that's what it was. Oh, the bug's now flying around Nakajima-san, and it's gone. Cassidy's going to be really wanting that sake. Maybe Cassidy's working quietly off screen to get that sake bottle open properly and get it done on schedule. There's the team.
As we see the...
Not enough shouting at Fuji Speedway for this one.
It is actually, yeah. I see the top drivers take their plaudits. I can tell you the top 3 in championship standings, Naoki Yamamoto, as we mentioned during the race, still very much on top of the standings, irrespective of what happened here, 27 points. Nick Cassidy with that 3rd place, still 2nd in the standings with 22 points.
They're taking their trophies away.
And Alex Palou is also going to be up there in the standings as well with that win. He got 10 points for that win, plus the point for pole yesterday, and a few points he got for Sugo last time out as well. So
here it is. Now Cassidy's looking worried. He's inspecting the bottle tops. Oh, they're pre-opened. So he's relieved. Look, the relief on his face. He's picked it up now. Oh, he threatened to spray the girls. That's very bad form, and he's gone too quickly already, and he's spraying Palou. Well, Cassidy is a naughty boy when it comes to spraying, but Alex Palou won't mind. He's happy. Sparkling sake. We have to get a bottle of this brand of sparkling sake because it is Super Formula branded bottles, you see. So
yes,
we need to get some of that. And Palou's dropping it to the team, and did it break?
I think it has.
I think it's failed. We didn't see the landing. Oh dear. Well, Cassidy knows best. He didn't do that. As Leo Gorman sitting next to me is working out the championship permutations.
I'm failing at working out the championship permutations.
So stay with us. If you're on the chat, we will chat a little bit more here on Let's Go Racing. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We'll keep chatting until the broadcast ends. And
we're kicked out of the studio.
Yeah. Oh, don't you live here now?
No, I couldn't afford it.
Here's what you were trying to work out, look.
So, yes, I was right. Alex Palou has moved up to third in the championship with that win, 14 points. Yamamoto leads 27, Nick Cassidy with 22, Palou third. Sho Suboi drops down to fourth, is now fourth in the championship with 12 points, with Sekiguchi, Kamui Kobayashi and Yamashita all on 11 points each. That's the top 7.
It's not out of any reality to put Palou into contention.
It's not, but that poor result for Yamamoto has actually opened the window somewhat for Alex Palou, and that's a big result for Nick Cassidy as well. He still will be kicking himself slightly that he didn't get Sho Suboi towards the end, because that would have brought him 2 points closer to Yamamoto. And as you said, points really do count. This championship was decided by a single point last season when Yamamoto pipped actually Cassidy to the title.
Yeah, Cassidy's still sore about that one.
And because bear in mind, he also lost the Super GT championship
by a single point to Yamamoto
again as well. And in 2017, as you see, the next race is going to be a twin ring Motegi. That's August 17th and 18th. We will be here live on Let's Go Racing for that event. Looking forward to that because Motegi is a great track. And so as the crowd begins to disperse somewhat, 2017 the championship was decided by half a point. So every single score matters in the Super Formula category.
And they're just pushing the victorious car out of the Parc Fermé area.
Well, Sammy, that really was actually quite an outstanding race today. The conditions really bring the best out of the drivers. We saw an awful lot of very, very great overtaking, particularly Kobayashi around the outside. I think it was...
Kobayashi gave an overtaking lesson to the entire field, while Alex Palou just drove a track day.
And essentially, yes. I mean, Kobayashi made 13 places today, and Alex Palou was just excelled out front. We had a very, very close battle towards the end between Sho Suboi and Nick Cassidy for second place. They came across the line very, very close together. And then you had a ferocious battle for fourth in the end between Ojiri, Oshira, Kobayashi and Nakajima. That settled out fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh place. And still surprised that was actually Nakajima's first points of the season.
Yeah, I know. You'd think he'd had a stronger season than that, but maybe not. So stick with us on the chat. We're just going to keep going a little longer. Just the last final few highlights from the race coming up. And we'll see what happens. We should be seeing the highlights now, but we're watching the grandstands. There you go. Well, we've got highlights of the grandstand. Because we have the hero music playing. How about our highlights? It's a nice grandstand there at Fuji Speedway. And here we go. There was a car. It had a Spaniard in it. Had a big diffuser. There was a new guy in a Red Bull and a champion in a white car. A man had shiny glasses. The safety car came out. Some lights flashed, and then they didn't. And then a race started with some more flashing lights. And it was grey and murky. A man got a penalty, a man lost his wing. Still hasn't found it. There was a fire, there was a spin, there was a funny expression, there was a Nakajima with a big watch, and there was a win. There was a new star. This has been Super Formula on Let's Go Racing. Thanks for joining us.